So, a warm welcome and a very good afternoon to every one of you for joining us in this important August gathering, an important event, South Asia Education Conference 2021, Design a Better Future Post-Pandemic. So, this program is exclusively for our class 11, 12 and 12 pass-out students to guide them, especially after like almost 2 years of massive impact due to pandemic, which has very highly impacted their education in terms of classes, career guidance, jobs, and everything. So we have designed this program and invited some of the very eminent and important personalities, academicians, and speakers from India, Bangladesh, and Nepal to guide you all in this situation, especially post pandemic, how you can make a better career choice. What kind of education should you choose, and what kind of jobs are waiting for you? So, every problem brings equal opportunity. So, do not be disappointed and disheartened by the challenges that is posed before you, because these challenges are momentary, and as I told, that every challenges brings equal amount of opportunities. So what we need to see that what opportunities are awaiting ahead of us that these challenges are posing. So now with this, a little bit about our organization. Policy Times is world's first policy and development media. We have been working tirelessly to have relevant discussions on the important topics which are of importance for nation building, because nation building is our objective, and nation building can be done to talk by continuously talking on issues that are very fundamentals of development. Development is the ultimate aim of every nation, and development, the fundamentals of developments are uh, talking about education, healthcare, entrepreneurship, startup, technology, innovation, inventions, agriculture, infrastructure development, sustainability, if I have not repeated, and then international relations. So these are all our parameters and fundamentals and foundations of development. And we at the Policy Times are continuously working on these areas, not only just talking and writing, but also bringing the relevant stakeholders like you. You are the backbone of the society. I'm so excited by welcoming and seeing the warm welcome and excitement of the Bangladesh students. That shows how the country is booming, because people like you are so excited, energetic, and aggressive in terms of taking initiatives. Your nation is growing, and the picture is same. Every nation which is growing very fast, you see their youth is taking active part in building that nation. And I'm so proud of you that our neighboring country like Bangladesh is doing wonderful. I wish and hope the same in Nepal. And Nepal, India is doing equal kind of partnership in boosting this country and go forward. India equally taking a lot of initiatives. So we at Policy Times aim to help each other develop our nations, each other. So the first part of the discussion, I will not go in details, is our inaugural session. We already have our Honorable Education Minister of Manipur, Shri S. Rajan Singh sir, joining us here. And he is a very dynamic person and doing a lot of initiatives in the state to revamp the education system of Manipur. We will hear from him what kind of initiatives he has taken. The chairman of this show is Dr. P. Shekhar, who is a mentor, advisor, and a very close, senior to us, has been guiding not only Policy Times, but also many organizations, many startups to thrive, to go to a next level. And he is also a national builder and policy influencer, working closely with many policymakers across the country and internationally. I'm also, again, always honored to welcome Professor Ujjwal K. Chaudhary, a dynamic, full, energetic human being, a wonderful human being, and a thorough academician. So we will also be fortunate to hear him about this. And he he specializes in media, but talks on many, many other topics. So with this, I want to hand over the floor to Dr. P. Shekhar, chairman of our inaugural session.
Thank you, Akram. Today, we have got a very special session from Policy Times, and this is on what I will do. I will just run through a small presentation as much as I'm going to talk, so that I don't take too much time from the speakers, starting from Evergreen Ujjwal Chaudhary. He's the first speaker. I'm very nice to. It's always a pleasure. But other equally eminent and equally good speakers who are who will really ensure that there is this post-pandemic situation is going to be something which is very, very challenging. At the same time, it is going to be in its own way a very interesting, because pandemic has got its own. I'll just go to the first slide. This I'll finish in about 10 minutes time, so that please be prepared for a 10-minute rushing through this. I'm not going to go slide by slide. I'm going to give the importance of, first of all, what we call as South Asia, and from the point of view of today's conference. Today's conference is by Policy Times, which has formed a very nice organization, very nice entity called World Education Council. And the conference is South Asia Education Conference, Design a Better Future Post-Pandemic. Now, obviously, the very nice words have been coined, because, pandemic, pre-pandemic and post-pandemic, it is just like BC and AD. The world is a different place to live in. Now, when the world is a different place to live in, there are various combinations which is going to work now. Now, South Asia, as you know, is a very loosely linked entity. BRICS, South Asia, Southeast Asia, SAARC, BIMTRAC, there are NATO, so many things are there. These all have a very high level of geopolitical importance, but human to human. And since today's topic is more of an education to education, these combinations can have a very, very good and very, very everlasting. Since there are a lot of students in the crowd, they should all know that education is something which can bring us together. Rest all think there's a competitive interest, there is a political interest, there is financial interest. In education, we all know that education is the only thing which grows by giving. When you give knowledge, if I give a talk, I'm not doing a favor to you. I am favored by people who are in front of you. But if the same talk is commercial, it is different. Same talk is political, it is different. Same talk is any other sector, it is different. In education is the only thing where everybody gains. The listener also gains, the speaker also gains, the giver also gains, the taker also gains. So in this connection, we have got a combination of about 8 countries in terms of South Asia. Now, South Asia consists of right from Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, Nepal, and Maldives, and so on and so forth. So I will give only a small this thing. As you all know, in all this thing, what is India's role? Since Policy Time basically belongs to an Indian entity. Now, India's role has to be supportive and also leadership. Because being a large country, we can't shun away from our responsibility. At the same time, we have to support other countries which are all, far, far smaller, far, far the same. Every country has got their own perception. So this is what is this. Now, the challenges and the availability. In these countries, we have got 72% literacy rate, okay, and it has also got 27% of the world's youth, which means a very, very big number. 27% of $7 billion, 7 billion people. Okay. But the negative portion is there are illiterate to the level of 29%, and almost 40% of the world's poor come from this area. Now, by the word poor and illiterate, let us not get very sad about it. This is part of the growing, because every country has gone through its own past, and they are all growing. And as you all know, even when we talk of India, about which we can talk a little more, India as a country had its own past, its own 200 years of, ruled by outsiders. But it also had 10,000-year-old civilization, 10,000-year-old history, which is bringing it back into its, how do we say it is bringing back? Now, when India got independence, average life of an Indian was only 24 years. Today, it is 70 plus. In 70 years, it is 70 plus. And from all aspects, it is growing. Same thing with respect to all countries. They've got their own past, but they're running to a glorious future. So in all this thing, literacy rate, I kept 1 or 2 slides on literacy rate, percentage of GDP. Now, when I'm saying the word GDP, let not GDP alone be our parameter of progress. Happiness index has to combine with GDP, and far more than that, how we are all interacting with each other. Today, gone are the days when we say we are a country, means we are only here. Even as Indians, since it's a multi-country people, almost 25 million Indians are abroad, and every year it is growing, and they're all welcomed in various countries. So how well are these 25 millions, whether Indians or whether belong to those countries? Yes, they belong to those countries where they live. At the same time, they are Indians. Same way with respect to all the countries put together. There are so many people of each country abroad, and they all bring a lot of prosperity, a lot of happiness, and a lot of indexes which are there to show that the countries are growing. Now, again, these are all few facts and figures. How much is the different governments which are spending? I'm not going to go to the details of this, but people should know that these are all very important parameters which define the growth of education, because education is one which is a backbone for the country's progress. Country has to be known. If you want to destroy a country, long back people said, destroy the education, country will be destroyed. Whereas if you destroy a road, it can be rebuilt. If you destroy anything, it can be redone. When education is destroyed, it is very difficult to rebuild. It takes long time, because you are seeing the seed was spread over 25 years. A person comes to a level where he starts contributing. So when you destroy education, you destroy wealth. And education consists of, especially Indian education, the same for other countries, consists of various private, public, central schools, public, private schools, and it has got a huge, especially in India, our numbers are all mind-blowing in terms of the numbers. As you all know, India has got almost 400 million people who are below the age of 25, and almost 600 million people below the age of 30. So India is the highest ranking young young people in the world. And our challenge is how to train all these people. There are, of course, education institutions, various levels, various grades, and various things of that. Again, since it's a multilateral crowd, people should know that today most of the topmost countries in the world have got CEOs, MDs, and others coming from India, and who have learned in the Indian systems. It is yet to come where the second generation is yet to take over. So Indian education system is one of the best in the world. It is the oldest in the world, but it has got so many things which are also to be improved. We cannot have a glorified way in which we talk only whatever has happened. There are many things which are to be improved, because the numbers are deafeningly high. Numbers are deafeningly high, and with India almost having 20 million new Indians coming every year, the challenges are tenfold high. Many of the countries itself do not have a population. India has got 20 million people coming every year. These 20 million people have to be fed, have to be taken care. And 20 million who are born maybe 20 years back, they will look for a job today. That means we have to create 20 million new jobs today for 20 million people who are born maybe 20, 25 years back. So with that challenges, India has got, that's why I use the word, India has to be supportive and also a leadership role. Why a leadership role? Because anyway, it has to take care of so many, and whether other countries are all there, we should be able to collate. I will quickly come to the end of my small presentation. So higher education has got, a very, very big role. And I proudly say that almost every one of the anywhere on the large companies in the world are somewhere, having Indians on the top because of the higher education, not because of other things. So once many of the young boys should know that once they come to the level, and all companies and other enterprises don't see from which country you have come. They see your personal knowledge. So triply ensure that leave alone all the geopolitical and other things. If you are good, you have a good future. If you don't get, so know that the blame is you, not your country, not your system. Okay, if somebody in Google and others can be from a country like India, and anybody from any other countries, the successor can come from any other countries. So please ensure that you look upon what is your taste, what is your temperament, and how you can contribute to the world's growth. Now, there is something called secured governance. None of my presentation goes without talking about secured governance, because secured governance is for actual growth. It is a self-sustained growth in which fund come from the system itself, so that you are not really taking money from any other source. And not to go into too much detail, just to give a practical bird's eye view, this is the largest project in the world in which 24 smart cities are being built in one stretch. Okay, and that uses secured governance. This is almost, from Indian currency point of view, it is a 12 lakh crore project, and it uses secured governance, and it is going on highly successful. And it is from education point of view, it will have so many universities coming in this 24 smart cities, and it will also educate. I know it has plans to educate almost about 20 million people in the next, of course, not in 1-2 years. Spread is a 20-year plan. So what I'm saying, this is an ambitious plan. And same ambition should come in a truncated way. Maybe one zero is knocked out on the right side. Still, it is large. So every country, depending on its population, depending on its strength, depending on its environment, should know that they would have their own, like Akram said, opportunities when in such a challenging time, which they have to take care. So coming to the last 2 slides, critical dimensions of school reopening. Now that such a situation, such a technologies were available even before pandemic, but we never had this type of conference. A conference like this means somebody has to fly down to some country, book some hotel, be there, and just for those 4-5 hours we are there, and again we go back to the place. So that particular thing is one of the post-pandemic. Now, translate it into actual class, because today we are talking about education system. Translate it into any technology class. A good technologist may be sitting in Maldives, he can train. A good technologist may be sitting in USA, he can train. The strangest thing which I came to know is one 75-year-old man sitting somewhere in Bombay is able to train yoga to people in West and almost earning $5,000 per month, which is a very, very, very heartening figure. So these type of things can have because of this pandemic. Pandemic has done a lot of damages to the world, but there are opportunities which Akram triply emphasized, that those opportunities has to be taken, because there's no use crying over spilled milk. If milk has spilled, it has got spilled. We should see sports spilling, how we should really take care. So we have to take care of concrete actions. Once this conference ends, ensure that you are in touch with the right set of people through Akram. The teacher-to-teacher collaboration, student-to-student collaboration, student-to-institute collaboration. Some student wants to be a student at some other institute, especially in India. They should feel free to be there. And some teachers from India can teach that, they should be there. Some teacher is so good sitting in some small country, they want to teach, they should come and teach. But they better be good, because they are also reflecting their country's prestige and their own future. So they should ensure that what they are saying, how they are saying, why they are saying, right from the way one projects their profile, biodata, one has to take care. So with that, I will just have another 1 or 2 slides. All this thing I collate and put it in the form of books. I have written more than 100 books on various topics. And these books cover, it is also a few foreign countries also written. And these books cover all aspects of how each individual can grow, how the country can grow, how the world can grow, and make this world a better place. And in terms of today's topic, make South Asia a good place to live in. And especially with the type of speakers you got today, Akram is good enough to have very, very good speakers. And he has also collated with multi people from the industry side also. I can see somebody who is very good in sports, somebody who's very good in IT, somebody is very good in healthcare. These type of people are invited to give a talk. And I have the next speaker is an evergreen speaker, Ujjwal K. Chaudhary. Okay, so I would like to request him. He is somebody who can talk on any topic, who can talk something which makes real sense to the students, especially students would love to hear him. And he is somebody who brings his whole knowledge in a way in which people can understand you. And he has got immense actual experience and immense potential to guide and make not India, the whole world, a better place to live in. Mr. Ujjwal K. Chaudhary, you could.
Thank you. Thank you. Namaste. Namaste. And very erudite, knowledgeable, well-researched presentation by Dr. Sekhar, which sets the tone of this educational conference. Namaste, Rajan Singh Sahab, the Honorable Minister from Manipur. Namaste, our veteran professor and our guide, mentor, Professor Agarwal from Delhi. Good to see you. There have been some occasions I have had the opportunity to listen to you, sir, earlier as well. Thank you. So because this is limited time, and I will come straight to the point. This is a program where largely youngsters are participating from Northeast, from Bangladesh, from Bengal, and from Nepal. So largely these are the areas from where around 280 young people have just now joined. Apart from few of us being above 50, all of them are below 25. That's a good thing to really know. So I would like to say we are completing 1 year of new education policy, NEP, which was launched last year at the end of July, if everyone would remember. And in this 1 year, the pandemic has been raging from one wave to the second wave, and we are scared of the third wave, if at all it will come. So under this given situation, how is education changing, the nature of education changing, and how should we look at it? So without getting into a lot of informative one, very well presented already by Dr. Sekhar, I will just put some common sense things that we will need to look at for young people particularly. So I'm addressing the 18, 19, 20-year-olds in the audience. First, forget that you are a student, start being a learner. And the teachers amongst us should forget that they are teachers, start being a mentor. Teacher speaks the last word, is a sage on the stage, is the first interpreter and the last interpreter of syllabus, the only evaluator of brilliance through examinations, and a teacher in the classroom. As against that, mentor is a mentor inside and beyond the classroom, is a co-learner and not the sage on the stage. He actually supports the learning process and does not determine the end of it. Evaluation is a part of the job, not the only job. So these are some of the things that the teacher has to remember while they become mentor in the blended world of tomorrow. And all those of you who are students typically study from a given syllabus, study for marks and exams and degrees, studies from teachers, and studies in the classroom. Studies by dint of forced discipline. Please forget to become a student anymore. In the post-pandemic era, please become learner. A learner is self-motivated. A learner learns inside the classroom and beyond the classroom. A learner learns from the mentor and the peers and through self-experience. That's called experiential learning. For a learner, discipline is self-driven. You learn because you want to learn. You learn not just because you need to get some marks. In fact, marks or degrees are byproducts. in the new education policy also, and moving ahead beyond the education policy, in the new era of education, degree centricity of the universities will reduce in importance. Skill centricity and life skills centricity, more particularly, technical skills and life skills centricity will be the focus. So under the given situation, I would like to appeal to young people in the audience, please refuse to be typical old-time, old-school students, the peers, and you are learning from experiences. And move to gathering skills, technical skills, vocational skills, and life skills. Soft skills, hard skills, both. Skill is the focus, not marks. Marks won't see you through. Today, I just as a reference, I'm telling, I passed out from Arunachal Pradesh, class 10, Ramakrishna Mission Alo. In class 10, 1981. I had the 9th rank in CBSE. It does not matter anymore today. It was a big thing at that point of time, because from Northeast, this was the first national rank of CBSE. Does not matter anymore today. The marks don't matter. Today, people are getting marks like 97, 98, 99% easily. It is almost becoming a mockery of evaluation. So don't go by marks and exams. Yes, decent passing everyone has to do. That's true. But what is important is the application of knowledge. Can you apply what you are learning on a day-to-day, on a regular basis? That's the point. And be a digital personality moving ahead. In the last 15 months, we have already become a large part of digital, personality spread across the country. So what is digital personality? When you can learn from screen and from book at the same time. When you can learn from a remote mentor and a mentor face-to-face at the same time, or one after another. And in case of digital learning, lot of learning materials are to be given to you digitally through internet or learning management system in advance. So a mentor, suppose he's teaching photosynthesis or he's teaching integrated marketing communication, will prepare his own video, audio, and PowerPoint. Will also call, that is called proprietary, his own or her own proprietary learning resource. And on the other hand, the person will also gather or aggregate from YouTube, from Vimeo, and many other sources, other learning resources. And together, we'll put them together about the same topic, whether it's photosynthesis or it is integrated marketing communication, of the same topic, and put before you 10 days before the class. 10 days, how? They will put either through email or through Google Class or through learning management system. In our university, we have a system called Canvas in that. So when these are put there, you actually read, view, and listen. In the past, it was only reading. Now it is reading, for video viewing, and for audio listening. All of these you do in advance and note down the doubts, the things that you don't understand. And in the digital class or the physical class, wherever the mentor meets you, then you clarify the doubts. That is how learning should be done. Then you work through closed group on Facebook, all the mentors and the learners. You work through a WhatsApp group. You ask questions there. The mentors share more material there. So learning is a continuous process, that's why. That is how you move from a typical book, teacher, classroom, physical education to internet, Zoom, all forms of education, books, lab, all together, which is a blended education. In blended, theory can be learned online and practical has to be learned offline or face-to-face. Group activities have to be done face-to-face. And most important part, learning largely was forced upon us as students. For mentors and learners, learning is voluntary. You have to learn because you want to learn. So something you will learn because the syllabus has to be finished. But some other things you learn deeper. That is called organic learning. The syllabus learning is structured learning. And deeper learning is organic learning. So learn because the syllabus tells it. That was the past. It will remain there. But learn also because you want to learn it. You want to go deep into it. You want to make a career in that field. This is something that you really enjoy. And that is organic learning. So blend not only digital and physical, blend structured and organic as well. Blend learning and practicing as well. These are significant. And project-based learning. If you have learned photography, do a project. If you have learned about global warming, do a project. So project-based learning and learning in the classroom, brick and mortar, learning digitally, click and portal, learning practically, experiential. Blend all the three: experiential, brick, and portal. Experiential, learning by doing, project-based learning; brick and mortar, brick, that is classroom; and click and portal, that is digital, click. So experiential, brick, and portal. These three is the combination or the blend of tomorrow. Career is bound to happen if your learning is genuine and voluntary. If your learning is forced, you did not want to be a doctor, your father forced you, you are going to be a big flop. Three Idiots film, I'm sure you remember. The guy wanted to be a wanted to be a very big photographer. He was forced to be in engineering. He left it midway and became a photographer, and he became very big and successful globally. So I will end with 2 points. One, it is not important what baggage I bring in when I come in. So you all will be entering into colleges or perhaps already in college. So it is not important what baggage you bring in when you walk in. There are too many baggages in India or anywhere in India, even more. Baggages of family background, of money, of ego of the family, baggage of community, caste, language, all those. Then we add baggages, marks and degrees we add to that. So it is not important what baggage we bring in when we come in. What is important is the footprints we leave when we walk out. Today, you are participating in the South Asian Education Conference. If you take back 3 or 4 ideas, what Sekhar Saab has told, what Professor Agarwal will say, what Honorable Minister Rajan Singh will say, and others will speak. If you can take 2 or 3 ideas, that is the outcome of this whole program, footprints of this whole program. On a daily basis, can you take and leave some footprints? So it is not the amount of baggage that we bring in what is important. What is actually important are the footprints that we leave when we walk out. And the second point, whole society from our birth teaches us to compete. And all our life we waste competing with others. I will request you, please forget competing. Post-pandemic, the world is about collaboration and not competition. This world would not have survived this pandemic if there was no collaboration. And the problems that have happened in some countries, one of the reason, including India, one of the reason is the lack of broad-based collaboration at every level. So as an individual student, a learner, please take back this. I compete with my yesterday for a better tomorrow, and I do not compete with anyone else. I repeat, I compete with my yesterday for a better tomorrow, and I do not compete with anyone else. Saluting the honorable senior professors and leaders who are present here, the speakers, and expressing my love and affection towards all the youngsters, I would sign off from Calcutta, Adamas University, the studio of the Adamas University. I am the Pro Vice Chancellor here. I would sign off and wish you all the best. Thank you for your attention and focus. Namaskar.
Thank you, Professor Ujjwal. Always a pleasure to hear you. It's also good that all our students and other speakers and other eminent dignitaries are able to hear and see what best they can do. Now, our next speaker, an equally prominent person of great repute, is Professor K.K. Agarwal. He is the chairman of National Board of Accreditation. Now, what is the significance of this Board of Accreditation? Now, when education is there, almost everybody wants to be a teacher. Everybody wants to be an advisor. Everybody wants to say something. And everybody becomes a self-sustained expert. Now, accreditation system comes. People like him have done immense work for national education policy. Okay. My own book on national education policy was one of the initial places where the union minister had taken it and wanted to start it. That was about 3-4 years back. So he has done really great work. And this organization which he represents, I'm sure he would like to say a few things about himself, his organization, and a great advice from a broad point of view, from India and other people, how we can make the world a better place to live in, and each country a better place for post-pandemic changes which will occur. Professor K.K. Agarwal, expectations are very high from you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sekhar, and for the nice words and making my job more difficult by declaring that the expectations are high. I'll try my best. Honorable Minister from Manipur, Shri Rajan Singh, and other dignitaries on the dais, and many dear participants and dear students who have joined this program. When I was invited to address the South Asia Education Conference by Mr. Akram Haq, the most beautiful thing I liked about the whole thing is that this is one conference, one of the rare conferences, which is focused on students. Most of the time, it is the conferences which are attended by the teachers. This is a conference which is dominantly attended by the students. And therefore, as a teacher, I always love it to talk to my students. I just heard Professor Ujjwal Chaudhary talking about on the subject. I'll carry forward and give some of the few additional points for the benefit of all delegates and more so my dear students. Friends, this is a conference in which the students from India, particularly northeastern states, and Bangladesh and Nepal and some other countries are attending. So first thing, I would like to welcome you all to this conference and make a few observations. This conference is organized by Policy Times, which itself makes it a unique in the sense that a media house is taking interest in educating the students, in making the students aware of the things and making sure that they are benefited. That itself is a very great change. And when I read through the details about the conference, they say it aims for integration in education. I think that's that sentence itself makes it great, because integration in education is very important. And over the last several decades, we have compartmentalized the education. We have fragmented the education. We have taken education from one stream to another stream. Very rigid boundaries have been made. I remember as a student of science, when science as a subject overgrew its dimensions, the academicians and intellectuals created it as physics, as chemistry, as life sciences. When life sciences became too voluminous, they created botany, zoology. So what I'm trying to say is they kept on compartmentalizing science. And we have been producing in this entire region great MSc physics, PhD chemistry. So we have been producing physicists, chemists, botanists, zoologists, etc., etc. But somewhere down the line, we forgot we are not producing scientists. We are producing physicists, we are producing chemists, we are producing botanists, but we are not producing scientists. With the result, what happened? Specialization and super specialization in degrees came, patents came. This region is now increasing in patents like anything. Publications came. India has a very high number of publications. But when it comes to ground reality solution of the problems, we are still not done as much as we would have loved to do. The reason being, we became over-centric on specialization, but less focused on the general awareness of sister subjects, general awareness of related subjects. The rote learning for all of the students became the name of the game. You swallow the lecture and vomit out in the examination hall. that became the basic strength. As most of you are students here, let me take the liberty of trying to explain this in very simple terms, which will look to be trivial to the elders, but because mostly audience is students, I like to take that example. A very big industrial house conducted a survey quite some time ago in India only, and they asked the best students of best schools of Delhi and Bombay. I'm not talking of rural schools. I'm not talking of schools which are less in terms of intelligentsia and all that. These are the best schools. And they asked them one of the question in the questionnaire for surveying, what is the chemical formula of the steam? And none of the students from these best schools could answer this chemical formula of the steam. It was very disturbing, but the reason was probably no teacher had taught it, no book has it, and therefore how do the students know it? Disturbed by the outcome, the organizers collected some 100, 200 students in an auditorium at their own cost, and they wanted to find out the reason about it. They asked the students, what is the chemical formula of water? Everybody said H2O, because everybody had remembered it. Then they asked, when water boils, what happens? Everybody said steam. What are you asking, sir? Everybody knows when water boils, it becomes steam. Then they asked, is boiling a physical process or a chemical process? Again, everybody said, who doesn't know boiling is a physical process? Then finally they asked, do the chemical properties change during a physical process? And everybody said no. Now they said, if you know water is H2O, if you know when it boils, it forms steam, when you know boiling is a physical process, when you know chemical properties do not change during a physical process, then why the chemical formula of pure steam is also H2O? And everybody in the hall was aghast, as if some rocket science has been discovered here. And everybody was feeling so sorry why they could not answer such a simple thing. Why I am trying to tell this incident is, of our education system became so much rote learning that you must remember what I teach you. You may not think about it. No teacher told that you may not think about it, but that was the subconscious signal which was coming to the world of education. You remember what I taught. You remember what is written in the textbook. And thereafter silence. And therefore, the students started believing there is no need to apply the knowledge. There is no need to try to bring it to the ground to solve the problems. They only believe that remembering, reproducing, and rote learning is the name of the game by which you get A+ grade, or you get 99% marks easily, or so on and so forth. So therefore, and this happened all through the higher education, school education, everywhere. I again remember an incident. A botany student worked for her PhD. And like all PhD thesis, she made a big 400 pages thesis, and she worked on the leaf of a tree. And the leaf of a tree, botany students, PhD students, means going on exploring something small. So leaf of a tree was explored like anything. So what are the various size distributions? What are the color textures? What are how many veins, and so on and so forth. So good diagrams, good histograms, good thesis, number of papers published well in good journals. When the thesis was sent to examiners, reports came up well because the quality of research work and all that was fine. And when examiner came for viva, the girl could satisfy the examiner on whatever questions he asked. And finally he said, well, so and so, I'm happy to say that you are qualified for PhD and now you will get a doctorate degree from the university in due course of time. Congratulations. And then he said, by the way, before I leave, just tell me, this leaf belongs to which tree? And the girl did not know. Now, that's an irony of our system, that you spend 3 years, 4 years working on the leaf of a tree without knowing which tree is the root cause of this leaf. So that gave us a system which made us devoid of applications. And therefore, my first advice to the students would be, make sure that wherever you study, whichever institution you study, there is a room for thinking, there is a room for creative thinking, there is a room for giving an answer different than the answer which is written in the book, there is a room to differ with your teacher, there is a room to work outside the lab, there is a room to prepare a topic beyond the syllabus, and then only you become a suitable contributing citizen for future life. And now it has become necessary. Why it has become necessary is because if you acquire a single skill, you become very good in one skill. Then tomorrow, a robot will be designed which will reproduce that skill which you know much better, much faster, much more efficiently without making mistakes. And therefore, tell me, my dear friends, what is a good reason that the industry should employ you? They will employ a robot instead, who will do the work without any hiccups, without any ifs and buts. And therefore, and then you start blaming the world for unemployment. You start blaming the world for not getting jobs. The fault is not of the world as such. Fault is because you in our education system at present learned only one skill, which can be very easily mechanized, which can be very easily put into algorithm, which can be very easily brought into a robot. And therefore, the name of the game which you must play now is what is called multi-skilling. You must skill yourself in more than one dimension. And not only that, friends, you will need skills in your life which you do not know. What will be those skills? I even don't know what to tell you to learn because nobody knows. As a matter of fact,
Recording in progress.
a paper in a record says in this present regime of Industrial Revolution 4.0, 65% of you will be doing a job whose title none of us teachers know so far. Now, if I don't know the title, which will be job, which we will be doing ultimately 20 years hence, 25 years hence, how can I make the curriculum accordingly? Therefore, onus is on the education system to prepare you for learning new things whenever the new things come up. Whenever the new opportunities need, you will have to acquire the capability to learn yourself. And therefore, the challenge for educational institution, whenever you choose an educational institution, is to ensure that this institution is not making you only examination capable, it is making you to learn yourself. Unless you acquire the capability to learn yourself, you will be left behind in this fast changing world, which is not very desirable. And therefore, the second attribute which I will like you to acquire is to acquire the capability of how to learn yourself and how to traverse in different domains. Life is becoming very strongly interdisciplinary. In India, we have declared national education policy last year. As a matter of fact, today is the first anniversary of that. And we have emphasized multidisciplinarity like anything, because you will have to know more than one discipline. And the similarity of the discipline loses meaning. There may be problems which require you to have a knowledge of physics and philosophy. There may be problems which require you to have the knowledge of music and mathematics. So therefore, please think of very diverse subjects and learn how to solve. try to find out the solutions to the problems by applying disciplines other than that. I have been a president of Southeast Asian Regional Computer Confederation, and therefore many countries' education system, particularly computer education, I studied, and I find that the problems are common. But you will appreciate, lastly, I would say, the COVID experience by which all of us, unfortunately, were confronted in the last more than a year, must have taught you that the name of the solution of any problem is not a single discipline. Had you treated COVID only as a medical problem, we would have not really come out of it. It had to be treated as a medical problem. It had to be treated as a social science problem. It had to be treated as an economic problem. It had to be treated as an industry problem. It has to be treated as a transportation problem, a labor problem. Then only we came near a solution. Therefore, any real life solution will require you to learn many things at a time. To be aware of many things at a time, and then only you solve them. So multidisciplinarity and your areas of interest will have to be many. And finally, because I look after accreditation at the moment, friends, quality will be the name of the game. Quantity of the syllabus will not be that important. Quality of education will be very important, and any degree, any diploma without quality will cease to have any meaning. And therefore, we have very clearly declared in our education policy in India that the new norm of regulation in the country will be accreditation. So every institution will have to be accredited to stand on the earth, because we understand without quality, education will have no meaning. Friends, these are a few points I shared with you because I find the session has too many speakers. So I would like to close here and thank Akram Haq and his team for giving me the opportunity to be able to talk to my young friends, which happens once a while these days. When we were regular teachers, it was regular feature. Today we talk to teachers and vice chancellors more, but to talk to students is rare. So it's a pleasure to do that. Thank you very much. Wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Agarwal. You kept up the expectations, exceeded the expectations. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Now we have our minister from Manipal, Mr. Rajan Singh. It is nice to hear from an academic point of view to a political consideration, and I'm sure he is one of the academically well enlightened person, and trying to do something in a place like Manipur is a real challenge. And I'm sure he will share his perception for his state, for the country, and for South Asia. Honorable Rajan Singh, please.
Good afternoon, everybody. I would like to thank the Policy Times for organizing such a wonderful, relevant and timely conference, South Asia Education Conference 2021, under the theme, Design a Better Future Post-Pandemic, with distinguished academicians and the speaker from various fields of the three countries, India, Nepal, and Bangladesh. My warm regards to Professor Ujjwal K. Chowdhury, Professor Pro BC, Adams University, Mrs. Rekha Sharma, Chairperson, National Commission for Women's India, Professor K.K. Agrawal, Chairman, NBA, Mr. Mahavir Pund, Nepali scientist, teacher, social entrepreneurs, and activist, Mrs. Gloria Zaharna Karkar, Honorable MP Bangladesh, Mr. Sadat Hussain, Joint District Session Judge, Bangladesh Judicial Service, distinguished invitees, academicians, ladies and gentlemen, present in the inaugural sessions with the themes Education to the Success Roadmap Post-Pandemic. Allow me to begin with a quote. If we teach today as we taught yesterday, we root our children of tomorrow. John Dewey, Americans, philosophers, and educationalists. In today times of pandemic, nothing will make more sense. India has a new education policy 2020, which primarily focus on lifelong learning. Also state that new circumstances and the realities require new initiatives, and the NFE 2020 also recognize the importance of leveraging technology in education and enhancing both knowledge and skills. Few challenges like digital divides in terms of connectivities, networks, and the access to smartphones, laptop, etc. Is also absence of an integrated learning management systems have emerged. But as we know, wherever there is a challenge and opportunity coexist, and we have worked on them for a better future. The concept of online and offline physical learning in a stand-alone mode is not going to work anymore. I sincerely believe that blended learning is the future, not only for the teaching, learning process, but also for the assessment. National Education Policy 2020 also promotes critical skill developments and vocational education, and its relevance has only increased with the pandemic. Another aspect that I would like to highlight in the maintain and the physical health well-being of the future generations. This will require specific and the wells throughout interventions. To sum up, the post of COVID scenario with need specific strategies and the plans to move forward in releasing our dream of better future. And we do have a COVID response action plan, strategies to contain dropouts and the introductions of bridge course, learning outcomes, curriculum frameworks, survey of children with special needs, etc. As I mentioned earlier, every challenge being equal opportunity. COVID pandemic is not an exception. Today, in this present scenario, we need to share idea, effort, and the system to ensure better future for the coming generations and make the world a better place to live in. Let us make this pandemic an opportunity to relook into our existing systems and to leapfrog the development change and win the race. I wish the organizers all the best. Thanks to all the participants and the distinguished once again. Namaskar.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Honorable Minister, for your kind address. It is really an absolute honor to have you.
Thank you, Honorable Rajan Singh. And nice to hear that people in politics also have got a lot of time. That shows the new dimension which the systems have developed. So people like him coming, addressing, has its own implications for the education system in Manipur, education system in India, because he represents the political class for an important conference like this. That means he represents almost all the states in his capacity as an education minister, as one of the most important states of the country. So thank you so much, and your address is very well received, and I'm sure you will continue to be involved, guide, as well as get guided about the requirements, because people in these conferences give their aspirations of what they want from the system. Because here it is like Ujjwal Saudi said, it's a question of collaboration. It's not the question of I give, you take. Even India may be constituting almost 80% of this countries put together. India cannot take a stand that I'm giving, you all take. India has to work together. Same way, people in various classes, various systems, various cultures, various professional qualifications, professionals in various fields have to work, because each has to stand. It is like otherwise we will fall like a matchbox, unless we all sit and try to have the system together. So with that, our initial part of the program is over. Let me thank Professor Ujjwal Chaudhary, Professor Agarwal, and Mr. Rajan Singh, and go to the next session. In this session, I will call Samir Ahmad Siddiqui. He is an IAS coach, and also he is doing a lot of professional training for various students. So I would like him to first maybe little introduce himself, so that people know what good work he is doing, and address the students so that people benefit from his talk, and we are all benefited from the knowledge which is being transmitted by him. Mr. Samir.
Thank you so much, Dr. Shekhar sir. And it was such an honor to hear Dr. K.K. Agarwal, Dr. Akram, my very dear friend, Akram Haq Sahab, Salman Bhai. Thank you so much for inviting me. Now, what kind of research I have been doing at my company, I will come to that. But before that, I would like to tell you a very beautiful thing, that it is being said that the newspapers and the most contemporary conversations, they reflect what kind of education the society has. So if I borrow from all the newspapers today and take you in this world where not us, but these students who are sitting here, they will be facing the real challenges of the next world. So for example, it is being said that because of the development of a very powerful artificial intelligence, there is now a real probability of countries getting converted into total surveillance state, because the amount of data that is being gathered at all levels, and that data processing is making many jobs redundant. Now compare this and contrast this with a student, the student who is not able to collect even the requisite data from his textbook, versus this is the machine age in which the machines are collecting the quantums and quantums of the data. This is the reality that you are now going to face. Second very important thing, we have just seen that the Virgin Atlantic owner and the Amazon owner, both of them, they went to space. And this opened a new chapter in the era of humanity, that many rich people now can afford to go into the space. Now compare this and contrast this with what if one day the humankind, they decide not to go into the space anymore, rather send the sophisticated robots. Now imagine a robot going on the Mars Imagine the robots, an army of robots collecting the precious resources of Mars. And by using the three-dimensional printing, they are making things on the Mars which are subsequently transported back to our Earth. So production houses, if they shift with the help of three-dimensional printing, with the help of artificial intelligence, and with the help of the labor who can survive that hostile environment of Mars, we call them as robots. These super intelligent machines have slowly started taking over all kinds of aspects that once the humanity, it was the core domain of the humanity. And the fact of the reality is this, that all the average jobs are already gone. But now the real challenge is when the machines and the sophisticated algorithms, they are keeping their foot in those domains which were almost especially 100% reserved for humanity. Now they are challenging the perceptions that we used to have, that there are certain super jobs that only we can do. Many students are sitting here and I'm very fond of asking them a question that who understands you at home better? आपके घर में कौन है जो आपको सबसे अच्छा समझता है? So many times many answer come, but the best answer is at my home, it is YouTube which understands me best. तो पूछा YouTube कैसे समझता है? तो कहा सर YouTube knows my mood and suggests me video in accordance with my mood and I don't have to tell anything. It uses the artificial intelligence. That kind of diagnosis of your mood is being done by the AI of YouTube. Can you imagine? But there are in Tokyo, the doctors are trying to use the artificial intelligence to produce a diagnosis which will take only 10 minutes to tell us that whether we are having a cancer or not, a process which takes 2 weeks for the physical human beings to perform. And a massive and a huge amount of data is getting processed by this AI neural networks. What happens to our children when they grow up and they are educationally not at that level that they can qualify with this diagnosis machine? Imagine on this 29th July, we have an algorithm which can diagnose the cancer in 10 minutes. That is, in 2030, it may make doctors redundant. Now, here comes another beautiful question that some people say that if the doctors were made redundant by AI, and if the job of diagnosis is being taken over by machine, it will be better for humanity. ये बहुत अच्छा हो जाएगा that all the doctoral jobs are being taken by machines. But here is a problem that human beings, if we get diagnosed by machines, the machines, they know us, they treat human being as nothing but the accumulation of a technical data. There is an accumulation of technical data. So question is now, today, what additional things we teach to our medical students in addition to the medical profession so that they can outperform the machines? That is where the first question arises. Are we bringing the empathy? Are we bringing the emotional intelligence in our syllabus? Because these two things are there, which the machines, they can never copy from human being. Are we bringing this empathy? Are we bringing this emotional intelligence? Because for machines, when they will diagnose our body, because for the machines, when they produce something, for them, the world is nothing but an accumulation of huge amount of physical data. And the challenge is very acute in entire South Asia. All the South Asian governments, they need desperately a policy of jobs getting displaced by AI. If the jobs will go in the hands of AI, and if we stick to that same factory kind of educational system, where the students are produced in batches, old rote learning models, over specialization model, then even all the jobs in which our level is of not that knowledge, they will go into the hands of AI and the neural networks. This is a very high time that all the universities and the colleges which are attending today's conference, they hear what Dr. K.K. Agrawal has said, and they must immediately bring an AI research center in their university. It's not only the research center, but they must also immediately diagnose and see what relevant skills the students have to be imparted in addition to the technical skills, so that the humans, they keep outperforming the robots. Every city in Europe, now they want to take a lead in AI development. All of the cities in the Europe, they have one research center in AI. They are like, it looks like as if all of them, they want to catch the train of AI. All of them are in rush, and nobody knows in which direction this train will go and who will board the train. But if Europe becomes completely AI driven, then that's also the close of their doors for some very specialization job for which they used to look towards the expertise of South Asia. The South Asian scholars, they're experts. For them, the doors will get closed for always. Now, to conclude the matters, I would like to borrow a hypothetical situation. Imagine, and this is a hypothetical situation in which now I am taking. Imagine Chinese military, they come to their leaders and they say that in the race against AI, we have defeated United States of America. And now we have very sophisticated weapons, which even the USA, they don't have. And we have a small window of opportunity of 6 months in which we can have an exceptional first strike capacity. So let's utilize this 6 months and have a first strike capacity. Now, this is a conversation hypothetical which Chinese military prowess is having with their leaders. Now, think about its implications on India. They have made this AI system hypothetically against USA. But imagine we as a neighbor who may not be willing to agree on all points with China, what implications will it have on our military prowess? Shall we also join this particular race? And this is what the government has to think. And in accordance with that thinking and policy, the government has to introduce that kind of syllabus in the engineering colleges or in the technological colleges. Now, 24,000 scientists of biology, the biologists, they came and they signed a pledge that we will never participate in any kind of biological weapon development. This is a very high time that all the physicists of the world, they join and sign a pledge that we will never join in the development of any autonomous weapon system. If that is not the case, then this race will take us no pata nahi kis direction mein. So this is very high time, and we need to understand that every science, including biology, including physics, and this is very true even for artificial intelligence, every science has two aspects. One, it can immensely help the humanity. Another, it can immensely harm the humanity if we don't introduce those skills which are antidote to this gathering and processing of data, which are called as critical thinking, which are called as creativity, which are called as problem solving, which are called as communicational intelligence, situational intelligence. If we don't bring cognitive behavioral biases, if we don't bring this kind of capabilities in our syllabus, then within 10 years, this window of competing against AI and robot will close for always. So here are my final words of conclusion. And the first very important thing that my company, Academy of Life and Futuristic Sciences, we deal with is this, that we train the student in their textbook, in their educational syllabus. We train them how to do critical thinking. We train them how to identify the cognitive behavioral biases. As Dr. Agarwal was saying, we want to change the dimension from remembering, reproducing, vomiting to actually thinking over what you have studied. And do you know the UPSC, Union Public Service Commission, is the first institute in India which has started asking this kind of thought-provoking questions. Initially, they used to ask, when was Gandhiji born? When did he marry with Kasturba? How did he do in NCM? But today, such kind of questions, they come in UPSC IAS mains, which cannot be answered by Google. Say, for example, a question came, what if Gandhi were alive today? Now, this is a kind of a question which puts student who reproduce and vomit into a flux, because he has never thought like that, what if Gandhi was alive today? Or a second question came, Why so many empire-shaking battles were fought in Panipat? Why so many empire-shaking battles were fought in Panipat? This is something that Siri, Alexa, this is something that Google, they cannot answer. This kind of questions and this kind of competitive exam, this kind of critical thinking, this kind of cognitive behavioral biases, the creativity, this kind of bringing the education closer to reality, this kind of seeing what the future beholds for us and start a trial and error approach is the most important thing that we have to do. My look at Dr. Shekhar sir and say this for the last time. It is not the student on whose shoulder we can leave the responsibility, but every entity in the ecosystem, they have to perform. It is the policymaker, the chief minister, the minister was speaking before me. It is the brainy intellectuals. Dr. K.K. Agarwal was speaking prior to him. Dr. Shekhar, Dr. Akram Haq, Salman Bhai Policy Times, all of this, we have to identify our role in the ecosystem so that we bring some very experimental and experiential setup in which our students, they do what Einstein said. Einstein said that I never teach my student, I only make an environment in which they start learning themselves. This is very true for all AI-driven machines. Nobody teaches them, but it is an environment in which they start learning themselves. And the best example is YouTube. YouTube knows your environment and keeps decoding your data. That is what we have to do with our student before the time runs out. Thank you so much, sir. And my introduction comes last. This is that planning, design, and promotion of a very appropriate curriculum, which will keep human beings relevant in this age of accelerated AI. This is the job that I do, along with being a coach of an IAS competitive exam. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Samir. So nice. I hope the students understand what you have said, because it is on a very high intellectual level. So that's why I spent 2 minutes before calling the next speaker, Honorable MP from Bangladesh, because this is something which should not confuse the students. What you said was, okay, AI can do. Because we should know, right from the time when wheels were invented, maybe thousands of years back, people thought civilization will come to an end, because once the wheels comes, all sorts of things were, when a knife was invented, it was said that, oh, we will all get killed, not the vegetable. When recently, when videos and TVs came, people thought nobody will go to watch sports. Everything will be on TV and nobody will do any public performance. And on every aspect, the world became a different place, became a nice place to grow. And so many things were taken care in their own natural way. Same way artificial intelligence. I myself am a technical person who had done some of the original work in artificial intelligence. That this will take us into a very different dimension. This will take the world into a different way of life. Because the way some people describe what you're saying is absolutely true. Then I generally say that if artificial intelligence comes by the way some are predicting, we all will be in ICU. Because everything will be done. So you just sleep and your food will come, this will come, everything, body will take care of it. That is not going to happen. Please be assured. And no country can have the privilege of attacking any country, which can happen anyway. And
Actually,
just half minute, Mr. Rajan. So we just certainly I'll finish my comments. So we have to ensure that students know that they have to be good in their education. They should not overtake many things which are being projected. Even COVID is over-exaggerated. Yes, some people have died, but whole world should not be brought to its knees by any single technology, any multiples of technology. And we should know that world is always a good place to live. In my own secure governance, I am planning 200 years of prosperity and growth for the world, and simulating what will happen from each sectorial growth, what all damages it can do, and how the positivity has to go forward. You have anything to say, Mr. Samir? Yeah. Before I call the next speaker.
Yeah, sir, what you are saying is so true, but the last only one line I would like to add, that our students are competing not against only AI, but AI plus 5G, plus the data processing, plus the sensors, plus the biological weapons, and so many things we may combine in the future, for which we have to prepare today, so that what you are saying is true, that when nothing will become as bad as I was trying to portray. But for that, we need to take the steps today.
Thank you. Yeah, I only hope that everybody will understand properly. Now I have next speaker, Mrs. Gloria Jana Sarkar. She's a member of parliament from Bangladesh. I would welcome, because Bangladesh is one of the closest friends of India from various aspects. India fought together to have it as a country, because we are all proud that there was a war which created a country. Generally, a war destroys a country. And Bangladesh has been one of, please, Mrs. Sarkar.
Thank you, and thank you for inviting me to inaugural session of the South Asia Education Conference. I would like to express my gratitude to Mr. Rajesh Singh for being the chief guest for today in response to this initiative. I would also like to thank all the distinguished guests today. In particular, I would like to thank the moderator. I am a political worker and representing here my Bangladesh thanks Seton for giving me the floor. At the beginning of my speech, I respectfully remember the great architect of my country, the time-honored personality, the father of the Bengali nation of all time, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, and all the martyrs, members of the family from 1975. I remember the selfless people of the Great Liberation War who sneezed Bangladesh and my Bengali language of 52 with blood and honor. And then I am really very happy to be informed the South Asian Education Conference has arranged a phenomenal event. Actually, the Policy Times and World Education Council is organizing South Asia Education Conference 2001 to design a better future post-pandemic through Zoom. The conference aims to guide students, especially South Asia, aspiring to pursue higher studies ahead in their caring to in terms of transformative, changing, reshaping the global academic framework that happening due to the rapid intervention of technology, industry 4.0 and digitization. This rapid transformation has been expanded on the work of global pandemic. Now that we are on the place where we have fair outlook of the changes taking place, it is imperative we try to build understanding of the same amongst students as well, so that they make informed choice leading to productive contribution to the society. Bangladesh is one of the fastest growing economies in not only South Asia, but the whole world. The nation in last couple decades has progressed by leaps and bounds. The nation's one of the instrumental growth capital has been its demographic dividend that has resulted in a large working age population in Bangladesh. This phenomenon has been occurring since the 1970. The demographic dividend was forecast to continue to raise to 79% in 2022 to 2044. Bangladesh has introduced quite a few groundbreaking changes to its education in order to have a calculated leverage of skilled demographic dividend that is going to take the education in Bangladesh has been gradually changed from the previous class-based system to the current mass-based system and liberalization education OL. Currently, the nation is revamping on training and skills to realize the vision of developed nation that we need education to support a modernization economics, digitalization and orientation to skills and technologies in emerging is the way to achieve the vision of trained workforce. And the nation has taken some bold and transformative steps. Bangladesh has recently brought a development platform for both higher and school education for digital incorporation for more sustainable transformation of the state's academic framework, like establishment of more universities in science and technology fields, more libraries, laboratories, and scientific equipment, multimedia classroom across all primary and secondary school, introduce ICT courses in all postgraduate college of Bangladesh, fully implement Bangladesh Research Network, linked national curriculum to global standards, like PISA use of multimedia classroom, dashboard for monitoring classes, teachers, review education quality in terms of learning and relevance to market, expand national technology and vocational qualification framework, introduce TVET courses in secondary and higher secondary levels, implements the National Skills Development Policy, design and implement a life skill program. A catering institute provide market-oriented skill training for less skilled overseas migrant worker, raise awareness about more pre-primary school for early childhood care and development. This is true in terms of Bangladesh taking giant leaps for mainstream of madrasa education to the national curriculum, protect children from drowning, a major courses of high dropout rate and bring in the line the country's spirit. Above all, Sheikh Hasina, daughter of Bangabandhu, is the only creator of Bangladesh education system, food, health, and transformation in a developing country. She was able to tell the presently in the pandemic situation so that not even an inch of space is left vacant, so that there is cultivation. We got digital Bangladesh only because of Shajib Wajid Joy, the son of Bongo Konna. Thanks everyone. Joy Bangla, Joy Bangabandhu.
Thank you, madam. So nice to hear you. So nice to see you also represent a spate of MPs from, I hope, all the 3 countries, all the 5 countries, and see that every one of us really see your all involvement, a minister's involvement, a member of parliament involvement. Now I have a judge from Bangladesh, Mr. Shabat Hussain, and I would request him to give his views, to give his talk. Mr. Hussain.
Honorable President, Minister, academics, and the audience. Salam to all. Assalamu alaikum. It's a pleasure for me to get opportunity to attend today's program, and my heartfelt gratitude to the authority and others who have arranged this wonderful program. I'm going through. I'm going through some physical illness. I'm going through a high fever, so not in a position to open my camera. So I'll request you to consider it. For last 3 days, I am with high fever. As a judge, you know that judge are very good listener rather than very good speaker. So I am a very good listener, and listening the lectures that was being delivered few minutes before by august guests, and trying to understand the points. I want to make some certain points regarding education. I will not take huge time. Just will make out some certain points regarding education of South Asia. First of all, this is my belief, and I think this is the global phenomena, that education definitely should be knowledge and skill based, not result and marks based. But this is very shocking data that in Bangladesh, and I believe that this is the case for India and Nepal as well, that most of the students are very concerned regarding their results and marks. So what is the consequences? The consequences is that we are getting 100,000 graduates, but not a scientist. We are getting 100,000 honors and master's degree holder, but not international personality, economist, or experts. What's the reason for which this is going on? I believe that one of the reason is that the policy of appointment of teacher. What is the main responsibility of teacher? The main responsibility of a teacher should be that he will create enthusiasm for knowledge among the students. He will guide the way of knowledge to the students. And for a teacher, good marks and good result is not the only thing to consider. But in addition with that, good presentation capability is very important. But this is very matter of worry that in our country we have seen that it is considered that the teacher have very good CGPA and good result or not, but they have very good presentation skill or not is not considered properly. I have studied Dhaka University. It considered best university or one of the best university in this country. But I haven't enjoyed my classrooms. I was compelled to stay present in the classroom. So I was in the classroom, but haven't enjoyed the classes. I think this is the case of most of the country in South Asia. I don't know that what is the experience who are present here. Dear student, if you express your opinion in chat box, that what is your experience, that you enjoy your classroom or not? I don't know. I haven't enjoyed my classroom. Why? The teacher had very good results. The teacher had very good results, but don't have the capability to present their subject wonderfully to the students. So the students are not being enthusiastic regarding the subject. This is one point. So appointment of teacher is very important, that the teacher have presentation skill or not, the teacher have capability to create waste of knowledge to the students or not, the teacher have capability to show the path of knowledge and skill to the students or not. That is very important. I think that it is not considered properly. So appointment of good teacher is precondition to achieve excellency in the case of education and knowledge and skill. So I request the dear participant that what is your opinion, that you are enjoying, you enjoy your classrooms or not? Just inform us in the chat box. Then I will get a result that my opinion is correct or not. Secondly, I want to mention that the government policy is one of the reasons for which we are not achieving excellence in the sector of education and knowledge. Why? We definitely should consider the budget of the government, what they're doing, not only today, but also our history of 1,000 years. If we consider that in the time of Mughals, India was the topmost rich country around the globe. India has 1/4 GDP of the world. They have nearly 23 to 25% GDP of the global GDP. That categorically means that we are the richest country around the world. We means India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh. At the time we are together. We are the richest country around the world, like United States of America now. What we had done in the time of Emperor Shah Jahan, he invested money to build Taj Mahal. From 1632 to 1653, he built Taj Mahal and used 20,000 workers and 22 years and million of monies. Very interesting that in the same time, the West has built Harvard University. When the West is building Harvard University, we are building Taj Mahals. This is very important to think. When the West is building Harvard University, which producing Noam Chomsky, which producing the topmost global heroes, global intellectuals, now in the same time we are building Taj Mahals. I want to say that the present scenario have changed or not. This is my opinion, that the present scenario haven't changed very much. In the case of Bangladesh, this is very true that the government has achieved enormously in the case of economy. We have developed, and this is matter of proud that we already have crossed Pakistan and India as well in the sector of per capita income. But despite that, what is the statistics of the budget for education? Not more than 3%. And we are utilizing budget more on bridge and culverts. And in the case of India, Pakistan, and other countries, they are utilizing more budget for military weapons, for military than education and research. If any country want to be global hero, want to improve, they must invest for the reason of knowledge. We are investing for weapon, we are investing for military reasons, we are investing for culverts and bridges, and expecting that our education system will be all classes. That is ridiculous. It is impossible to ensure that. So we must ensure to invest in the sector of education more. In India and as well as in Pakistan, there, despite that 100,000 people, crore of people are under poverty line, but they're utilizing their money for military purpose. They're buying bombs rather than investing in education, in the sector of education. On the contrary, the country who are booming in the sector of economy and other sector like South Korea, Israel, and different countries. They're investing their money for the for the reason of research and education. So I will give special emphasis over investing money on education and research. In Bangladesh, not in a position of within 100 in the case of research. Here, even not within, I think, topmost 20, I think, in the case of research. Then how we can improve in education and knowledge? We must invest education and research. This is inevitable. Thirdly, we definitely give emphasis on meritocracy. The appointment definitely should be on the basis of merit, not
Yeah, I think Cyrus has stopped.
I think the audio is gone.
Yeah.
Is he coming?
Honorable Judge, are you there?
Yeah, okay. So then I will formally close this session, thanking Mr. Hussain. Even though he was not well, even though he was slightly having his fever, he was good enough to come and address. And again, like others, he's representing scores of judges who got their own purview, who got their own analysis of the world, analysis of the past, present, and future. Whether we like it or no, it is something which is very nice to hear. And I will hand over to Akram for the next interesting session. Akram, you can take it over.
Thank you so much, Dr. Shekhar, for wonderfully moderating the inaugural session. To all my dear students, I hope you enjoyed. Inaugural session is always macro, like it gives the broader picture of things. So it is not about, sir, how should I, where is the examination form or Kolkata University form or Delhi form is available. It is like giving a broader picture because they are all, big level people. They're all very, very successful people in their own sphere. So they will give you a broader outline of how to make, how to be successful, because all the fundamentals they presented are very vast and large. So now we will go to the second and most important session. That is, now we will go into how sector-wise, like what is the career opportunities in finance, how is the career opportunities in law, how is career opportunities in management, and so is many other fields. And we have already, I can see, Mr. Manish Jain. Welcome, sir. Thank you so much for joining. Really an honor to have you here. I also have Professor Dr. Jyotsna Yagnik, who is again a very powerful professional and academician, also a former judge. I also have many other speakers. So the moderator of this session is my dear own friend, Mr. Nihal Pradeep. Nihal, if you can come, a very dynamic and dynamic entrepreneur, leading a very nice startup. And he, despite at the peak from Kerala, at the peak of career, he chose sports as the field for entrepreneur. He himself was a very good basketball player. Now he is a businessman. But he's the best one to guide you and support you in terms of choosing career. So he will chair and moderate the coming session. So Nihal, over to you.
Yes, thank you, Akram, for giving me that introduction, and it's a privilege for me to actually moderate this session. Being in the midst of so many honorable guests and speakers here. So once again, a really warm welcome for all of us, all of the people who are joining us late. We just passed the inaugural address, and we are moving on to the core essence of this whole session, which is in fact going to be the sessions divided by sectors. And without taking any more of your time, let me begin by introducing our first speaker, Dr. Jyotsna Yagnik, who is in fact the former principal judge of City Civil and Sessions Court of Ahmedabad, Gujarat, and the former pro-vice chancellor of Adamas University, and currently the arbitrator and educator in laws, Director Yagnik's Law Academy for Examination of Judiciary. So she is the symbol of women empowerment and strength, and truly an inspiration for not just women, but for all the participants as well as everyone else across the world in India and elsewhere. So over to you, ma'am. Thank you so much for taking your time off and choosing to address this gathering. So over to you. Thank you so much.
Ma'am, please unmute yourself.
Thank you, Dr. Nihal, Mr. Hug, office bearers of Policy Times, other worthy speakers, and all the members of the audience, dear student. As we know that from prenatal stage to the stage a man goes to graveyard, everywhere one common factor remains, which is known as law. Rule of law, as we know, is sine qua non for any civilized country or for any civilized society. Not only in India, not only in South Asia, but throughout the world, wherever any sort of transformation or revolution has taken place, world history has witnessed that it has not taken place without the professional of law. The successful leaderships are always provided by the people who are in field of law, because learning law itself is a right national highway or say international highway to have confidence. Learning law is the way to know the society. Therefore, those who are in field of law are always very successful leaders. And it is for that reason career options in law are having a great significance in the life of the student if they have selected law as their career. There are students who are not law students, but who are student of commerce, who are student of Bachelor of Management or MBA, so on and so forth. This days recently I was called upon by University of Architects to teach them law. I was astonished that I'm teaching law for last 35 years. How come the SAPT University, which is a very popular university internationally, had a lecture of law? And when the letter came to me, I read it, that it was about alternative dispute resolution and the role of architect or role of the civil engineer or role of the persons who are in construction line. So first and foremost, career option is alternative dispute resolution. Now, it has been found out in America, and it is known as theory of multi-door courthouses. It is based on the ideology that court, wherever any litigant goes to court with any sort of dispute, that person will be shown door of negotiation, door of conciliation, door of arbitration, door of judicial settlement, door of, for India, Lok Adalat. So there are 5 different ways in which the dispute can be alternatively resolved. India has introduced this in 2002, but before that, almost in all countries, alternative dispute resolution has been made very, very successful and useful. In America, 97% of the cases are resolved at ADR stage. ADR stage is a pre-litigation stage, and only 3% of cases come to the court of law. This is the success rate of ADR. Because this is the success rate, other countries have also to inject it. There are international covenants which almost all countries might have signed, and in view of that international covenant, it is essential to inject ADR processes and ADR practices in the existing legal system of the respective country. Keeping that in mind, India too has introduced ADR practice in its civil procedure code. First of all, I will say about career option on the international level. If you are learning ADR, it can be on international level. Now, this is very useful to law student because ADR requires understanding of basic conceptual clarity about different laws. But it can so happen that negotiation is a skill, conciliation is a skill. There are many foreign universities where there are diploma, degree, and certificate course are being offered only to teach skills of negotiation, only to teach skill of conciliation. So if those things are there, in that case, even if a person is not law, but has inclination to learn law, has inclination to appreciate law, then that person also can take up this career option. In my mind, this is the most important career option available at international level. Second career option available at the international level is job at multinational companies. As we know, the scope and the market of multinational companies whole globe, whole world. And therefore, there is a requirement of people who thoroughly understand not only the market strategies, not only needs of market, not only the profit performance, or not only the need of knowing the tricks of the trade, but they should also know as to which laws would be govern the business or the activities being run by multinational companies. The second and the third and another option available at international level is opening, running, and working in NGO. One can join NGO, one can open up one's own NGO, one can run the existing NGO. So all these three options are connected to NGO, and those kind of NGOs of which I'm talking are generally serve international causes, wherein it is important that the interest at the international level of a layman, of societies, not society of one country, but societies of many countries are taken care of. Take an example, that NGO which is working for all those who are victims of national calamities. In Gujarat, in Kutch, when earthquake came, so many foreigners came to give rescue. Those, they were even, some of them were not knowing even English. They were only knowing the language of their country, but they could offer their rescue services. So this kind of, if one wanted to develop career or choose a career option of NGO, one must have basic and fundamental clarity in the mind about law. The fourth career option to me is journalism. Journalism, a fourth foundation of any democratic setup. But is it on the state level? Is it on the national level? The answer is plain and simple, no. Today, if any Indian journalist writes something without understanding law, it may have an impact world over. If any other foreign journalist writes something about World Bank, sitting at India, I'm going to read it. Sitting at India, I'm going to analyze it. Sitting someone at Bangladesh, going to read it, going to understand it. If who says something about pandemic, that is all connecting people. That is all applicable to all of us. Therefore, journalism requires the basic knowledge of law. Because nowadays the importance of human rights is on rise. And since the importance of human rights is on rise, and since the human right is not of the national level, it is of the international level, right from the conception it had after the Second World War, when we had international covenant, when we have signed the international covenant on human right, universal declaration of human right. Since then, it has an international color. Therefore, we need journalists who knows the basic concept of law, the basic concept of human rights, duty of an individual to individual, duty of an individual to society, duty of the society to an individual, so on and so forth. So to me, the fourth career, which is at the international level, could be this. One more career option on international level is writing the law books. Now, writing the law book, not essentially always about a law of particular country. Take an example, Dr. Rawls has written, Theories of Justice. Let me tell you, it is internationally applicable. He wrote about distributive theory of justice. That distributive theory of justice has given us today free legal services to be assured by the government as a directive principles of a state policy. And therefore, writing such innovative ideas in law book is something that these and all will give such a color to the entire exercise that one would be able to learn it. Over and above this, I know the time is constrained. So as far as other options are concerned, which are mainly available on the national level, I will name them. If anyone has any question, I can deal with that. That is the government practice, practicing as a government lawyer, practicing as a semi-government lawyer, practicing as a lawyer of tribunals, practicing as a lawyer of commissionerate or corporates, etc. Then practicing as a law consultant, not going to court, but only offering consultancy, practicing for banking and finance consultancy. Then after practicing for academic field, being a law teacher, being a solicitor, being a valuer of the property in each country, being an entrepreneurship, being a public prosecutor, doing consumer practice, being a director of prosecution of different states, different cities, different countries, doing public interest litigation, and for national level, also being lawyer on record of the Supreme Court. There is job awaiting for good person having good pen masters. Drafting skills are there for drafting in the government department. The most difficult aspect is to find out the student, to find out the person who can draft the laws very well, because if there is an iota of mistake in drafting law, next day it will go to court, and that will destroy the entire ideology or philosophy of the government. Joining politics is also one of such things. There are many other fields, as I have told you. To be judge is one very popular thing. President of some tribunal is also another thing. Getting a government job is also another thing. I would only end saying that law is life, power, and strength. If you know law, the whole world will recognize you only with a certificate that you know law so well. Law is the master key of any law, because every civilized society requires rule of law. Rule of law requires interpreter of law. Rule of law requires executors of law. Rule of law requires interpreter. Rule of law requires judges. Rule of law requires practitioners, good law teachers as well. So if you say rule of law, it is cumulative of many flowers. It's a bouquet where there are so many flowers, so many ideology. With this, I express my deep sense of gratitude for having given me this opportunity and for having invited me to speak to young mind. And when a young person, Nihal, is chairing the session, is indeed enjoyable to talk. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Policy Times. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that amazing, incredible session. And you really talked and touched base on a lot of concepts on law. I'm sure it was really valuable and informative to everyone here. So I'm sure if you have not, please do take notes of all of that before you really forget any of that. That was really incredible. And she also, in fact, talked a lot about other sectors also and the amazing opportunities which are in store waiting for all of you. So thank you so much once again. Thank you so much, Dr. Jyotsna. That was a really incredible and passionate and a really driving session. Thank you. So I hope you all enjoyed that. And with that, I want to move on to the next session. And Robert Kiyosaki has said that financial freedom is available to those who learn about it and work for it. So to talk about a career in finance, we have none other than Mr. Anil Keshari Shah, who is in fact an amazing leader and an influential person in the field of finance. He is currently the CEO of Nabil Bank, Nepal. And I would love to hear more about it from Mr. Anil Shah. Over to you, and wishing all of you have a really wonderful session. And I encourage all of you to post your questions in the chat as well, so that we can take them and the speakers can also answer a few questions if they're. Over to you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. First of all, thank you to the South Asia Education Conference for giving me this opportunity. It's really amazing to talk to young minds, whether they be in Nepal or in the region. I always enjoy that, and I think a lot of Nepali youth already know that one of my favorite pastimes is interacting with youth. Because I truly believe, while a lot of people say that the youth is the future of any nation, of our society, I believe that the youth in the South Asian context is not the future, but the present. And it is now time for the youth to stand up and carpe diem, to seize the day. Don't wait for tomorrow, because as we know, tomorrow never comes. So if the youth keeps waiting for tomorrow, for their day to come, that day may never come. But if they stand up and say, from today, I'm going to do what I want to do with the rest of my life, and that starts now, then the future is very bright. In Nepal, finance is one of the most preferred and chosen career paths. In fact, if you go to many of the BBA, BBS, MBA, MBS institutions and ask the students what they want to do, majority of them will say they want to join a bank or financial institution. Unfortunately, in the Nepali context, the second choice used to be, I say used to be, that if you don't get a job in a bank or financial institution, what will you do? A majority of them would say we will go abroad. We'll go to America, Australia, Europe. We'll make a life for ourselves over there. But that used to be. With the COVID pandemic, the silver lining I see now is a lot of them say we will do something on our own. We will become entrepreneurs. We will start a business. And this is truly a good trend in Nepal and in South Asia, that youth from job seekers are becoming job creators. And if we are really going to turn around the economies of our nations, that is very, very critical. Talking about banking, I've been in banking for over 3 decades, and I truly believe that banking is the heart of the economy. Just like our heart pumps blood to different parts of our body, and therefore our body stays healthy. If my heart didn't pump blood to this little finger of mine, within a week, this finger would start to decay and soon it would fall off. But the banking sector, the financial sector pumps capital to the different parts of the economy. And wherever the capital reaches in an efficient, cost-effective manner, that part of the economy starts to boom. You can look at any nation, any sector, and you will see that this is true. Without the banking sector, without the financial sector moving into certain sectors of the economy, certain parts of the country, it is almost impossible for those parts of the country to develop or those sectors to develop. Therefore, the financial sector is a critical part of the transformation that the whole of South Asia is trying to go through right now, which is economic transformation. Our region has had all sorts of transformations in our lifetime. But the one transformation that every South Asian now seeks is economic transformation. And the heart of that economic transformation is the financial sector. So for those who are interested in a career in the financial sector, the first thing I would like to say is the competition is intense. Because in most countries, if not all countries of South Asia, the financial sector has the pick of the youth that we want. For instance, my bank, Nabil Bank, takes out a job vacancy for 70 people, let's say, and we get more than 3,000, 4,000 applications. And all of those applications meet our cutoff of, say, first division, distinction, whatever we say, education qualifications. So the competition is intense. So just because you have the highest of high marks doesn't mean if you want to start a career in the finance sector that you will be able to do so. So while you are studying, you must also develop yourself as a complete individual. An individual who, when a finance sector looks at you, will say, this person will hit the ground running and will add value to our team. And just having a very high percentage, a very high GPA may not cut it. Because a lot, and we're not talking hundreds, we're talking thousands of people will have that GPA. So why you? So when you are studying, make sure you do the right sort of internships, the right sort of projects, things that will not only impress the people in the interview panel, but will actually add value to you as a professional. So that when you come to that interview and you are asked, why is it that we should take you on? You will have something to say other than, sir, I have a 3.95 GPA. Oh, really? Well, 6,000 other people also have that. So what do we do? Why should we take you? And then at that time, don't go blank. So you must utilize every moment you have in order to make a more complete you, a better you. We had 2 swimmers. The Olympics are going on. Nepal had 2 swimmers, one boy, one girl. Both of them swam in their heats. They did well. They both did what they aimed to, which was they both broke our national record. They did not move on to the next round. Their times were not that good enough, but both of them are elated and the whole nation is happy. Why? Because they were able to do better today than what they did in the past. Yes, if they had won a medal, if they had gone on to the next round, everyone would have been happy as well. But that is how you should lead life. Your competition has to be first and foremost with yourself. And if you want a career in the financial sector, this is very, very critical because this is one of the most competitive sectors that there is in our region. So you must consistently better yourself educationally, professionally, in all aspects of life. You must better yourself. The second, a lot of people believe that financial sector is all and only about numbers, numbers, numbers. You must be good at numbers. You must be great. You must be exceptional at numbers. Let me tell you something. Numbers is the foundation. It's just the foundation. The financial sector today is 1, about service, 2, about technology. If you are really interested in developing a career in the financial sector, these are the 2 sectors, 2 aspects of your life, of your being that you need to enhance as well. Because when we look at people for the finance sector, along with aptitude, we look at attitude because we realize we are part of the service sector. We deal with people. We do not produce products. The person who produced this phone, I don't know whether they were having a good day, a bad day, whether they're a good person, they're a rude person. It doesn't matter to me. As long as this phone works perfectly well, I'm very happy with it. If the phone doesn't work, I'm not happy. But the service sector is not like that. And the banking sector, the finance sector is part of the service sector. So you must be a people's person. You must be able to communicate, to be able to sell, to be able to develop relationships with people, because that's what it's about. Because at the end of the day, think about it. A savings account is a savings account. A current account is a current account. A credit card is a credit card. An auto loan is an auto loan. A home loan is a home loan. A hydro infrastructure loan is a hydro infrastructure loan. They can go and get it anywhere. Why should they come to you? Why should they come to my bank? And if it's only pricing, do you want to work in an organization which says that we are the cheapest? Why should you buy my product? Because it's the cheapest. Then no one would buy an iPhone, would they? iPhone is not the cheapest, or neither is Samsung. But why are they the largest market leaders? They never come out in the market and say, hey, we've got the cheapest phone. They come out and say they've got the best phone. In the service industry, we don't have a product that we can say the best. Our service has to be the best. So along with your aptitude, you must ensure that your attitude is correct as well if you want to come to the financial sector. And now, more so than ever, with the pandemic, you must be on the ball with technology. Because now the bank is no longer a place to go to, but the bank is a service that the consumer wants to consume. This is the bank of your generation. Not this big building that I sit in, not my big branches that I've spent crores of rupees building. But this, whoever puts the bank in here is the one who's going to get the customer. Not the one who has the biggest building, in the high street and in the main business district. They're not going to get the customers. The customer doesn't want to come there. Customer is scared to go out. Customer wants to do everything on the phone, on the computer. So technology, digitization is now the game maker or game breaker for financial institutions and individuals and professionals in the financial institution. And why that is great for you, those of you who are students now who are going to planning to enter the finance sector, is it is a great leveler. I said I've worked for over 3 decades in the banking industry, but the banking industry I worked in was pre-COVID. The post-COVID banking industry is all about technology, is all about digitization, it's all about fintech. And hey, maybe I'm not that far ahead with all these years and years of experience than you. And maybe, in fact, maybe you are ahead than me. So when you enter the financial sector, unlike in the past where if you entered as a management trainee or if you entered at the entry level, you'd look at all your seniors and say, oh, I have to learn all these things, get all this experience these people have for all these years. But now the game has changed. We all are really good at playing soccer. Now everyone's playing hockey. And you learn how to play hockey. So just because I was a star soccer player doesn't mean that I'm going to be a great hockey player. So the playing field has been leveled to a great extent. And because of that, your opportunity for those of you who want to get into the finance sector is better than ever right now. But how do you realize and how do you decide which sector to get into? Whether it be finance, whether it be law, whether it be copywriting, sports, media. So what I want to end with is whether you come to the finance sector or not, the first thing you need to do is determine what is your objective in life. And what I have learned is no matter what you want to do in life, the organizers of the seminar, your professors, your mother and father, you, everybody, we have the same objective in life. And that objective is to be happy. That's all we want out of life. Think about it. We want to be happy. That's it. It's so simple. And in my experience, there are 5 ingredients of happiness. How much of each ingredient you require to be happy will determine what you want to do with your life. The first ingredient is family and friends. Some of us love to spend time with family and friends. Some of us are too busy to spend time with family and friends. Number 2, money and economic wealth. For some of us, the more money we have, the more economic wealth we have, the happier we are. For some of us, we don't even know how money can make anyone happy. The third is health. Not to be unhealthy, but to be healthy. Do you meditate? Do you do yoga? Do you eat right? Do you exercise? Health means psychological, physical, emotional health. To be healthy. The fourth ingredient is power, status, and authority. For some of us, it is very important. How much power do I have? How much authority do I have? How many people recognize me? What is my status in my organization, in my society, in my neighborhood? For some people, it's a demotivator. It makes them sick, gives them a headache, makes them vomit. And the fifth is your relationship with yourself and yourself's relationship with God and the greater good. These are the 5 ingredients. What you need to do is put these down in a piece of paper. Family and friends, money and economic wealth, health, power and status, greater good and God. Put 100 on top and then divide that 100 amongst these 5 ingredients in terms of how important each is to you. Not to your parents, not to your professors, not to your friends, to you, because it's your life. Now, if money is very important, power and status is very important, maybe banking is a great career for you. But if family and friends is very important, health is very important, then maybe banking is not a great career for you. Because you may get a great designation in the visiting card, you may get a lot of money in your bank account, but you'll have no time for your family and friends, and your health will take a back seat. So just because Anil Shah is happy doing banking doesn't mean you'll be happy doing banking. So before you jump into becoming a lawyer or a banker or a doctor or an engineer, find out what makes you happy. What is your objective? Which is the mountain you want to climb to be happy? And that's what the happiness formula will give you. Then take your core competencies and strengths, dovetail it in with your happiness formula, and you will know exactly what you want to do in life. That's critical for you. If you don't do this, if you run after Anil Shah or any of the other mentors or gurus and you want to be just like them, you may become just like them. You may be even better than them, but you will not be happy. And that is the secret of life success. So people ask me, will this make me very rich if I follow your happiness formula? I say, if happiness is in richness for you, it will make you rich. But if happiness and money have no correlation for you, You will not have much money, but you'll have an abundance of happiness. So if you want to come into banking, it's an amazing career. It's a professional career. It's a career that compensates you well. It's a career where there is immense potential for growth. It's a career that's socially very, very acceptable. But it's a career, not a job. If you want to do well in banking, remember your happiness formula, the numbers have to be right, because there are certain things you will have to sacrifice to have a successful career in the financial sector. The financial sector is the heart of the economy. The economic transformation is what everybody wants, whether you're a politician, a social worker, a teacher, anything, anyone. Everybody wants, especially in South Asia, we want economic transformation now. We want the living standards of the general people to go up. We don't want to make the rich people poor. We don't want to continue to make only the rich people rich. We want to now make the poor people rich. And to do that, to churn that engine, the heart is the financial sector. So you come into the financial sector, you'll be in an immensely important sector in any country in South Asia, in any country in the world. But it's a sector that demands a lot from you. So if you have the aptitude, which will ensure that you can contribute and add value to the financial sector, you have the attitude, which ensures that you are able to be a service provider and someone who is able to take everyone else's problems and still smile. If you have the IT background, the IT ability to transform the finance sector to what it needs to be, not what it was yesterday, and if your happiness formula is driven to enable you to give to the finance sector what it needs for you to be successful, then I would strongly suggest that you come to the financial sector, whether it be in banking, whether it be in any avenue of the financial sector, because there are a plethora of places that you could go in the finance. So I would say, welcome to those of you whose happiness formula pulls you to the financial sector. We look forward to having you here. But remember, it's not a decision for me to make. It's a decision for you to make. And depending on your happiness formula, your aptitude and your attitude, I hope the best of you are working with me side by side in the days ahead. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Anand Shah. That was really, really insightful, because I think what a lot of people would in fact talk about is what's great about joining something, but this was also about for what finance or finance is not for what kind of people. And this was really incredible. And it was also like listening to valuable lessons in life as well. We've talked about transforming yourself into a complete person, as well as being better every day and finding your happiness. So thank you so much for that amazing session. It was really incredible. And we're really happy to have you here. So yes, on to our next speaker. And I hope everybody is enjoying this session. I can see a lot of comments coming up in the chat, and I encourage you to keep posting your questions and everything in the chat. So with that, let me go over to our next speaker, Mr. Manish Jain, who is the co-founder of Swaraj University and Shikshantar Andolan. So I really hope I got that spelled correctly or pronounced correctly, right, Mr. Manish sir. So, it is an incredible privilege for me to welcome you to this session. And he is going to be talking about choosing the path to higher education. And he has a really amazing learning community. So over to you, sir. And wishing everybody is going to be having an amazing session. So welcome, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Nihal. It's very nice to be with everyone today. I am going to share some of my experiences from the past 30 years. I've worked in several different fields, ranging from investment banking to international development, to policy making, and to grassroots work, and to alternative education, grassroots development and alternative education. And I want to start my speech by saying I have some good news for everyone and some bad news. So I think I'll start with the bad news and end with the good news, if that's okay. So the bad news is to tell you that college does not prepare you for real life in the real world, and that most of what you've learned in college is irrelevant in order to be happy and to lead a happy and meaningful life. This we heard from the last speaker too, Anilji, who talked about happiness. So I think this is one thing that I would like to stress today. And so these are two things that, and we have right now, the situation I think in the world is that I would describe it that we are sitting in South Asia on the Titanic. The boat has a hole in it and it's sinking, and it's time for us to wake up and look at why it's sinking and what's the implications of that. COVID, I think, has been a great wake-up call, and the disruptions it's creating. And many people, futurists around the world that I'm friends with, we're all predicting many more disruptions in the coming year, much more volatility and complexity. So, and there are three areas that I think that we need to really understand very clearly as part of the crisis. So one is obviously the ecological or environmental crisis that's facing us. The last 100 years of growth and economic growth and development has put us in a very difficult position. Everyone's familiar with climate change. They see fires and crazy droughts and crazy floods all over the planet, which are unseasonal, and this is going to be increased. And we see the damage, huge damage to our ocean systems, river systems, forests, and all of that. And so this fallacy that we think that we can do anything to the environment and it won't affect human beings is something that we need to wake up from, and we need to start taking a different kind of action in terms of our personal actions as well as our career choices. The second thing is the unemployment crisis. The story before was you study well in college and you'll get a good package and you will be happy. So I think what the Indian government has predicted in the next 20 years, we will have more than 180 million, 18 crore unemployed educated youth. And they're all being trained as job beggars, not as job creators. So this idea that, I just have to study and get the marks and I'll get the job of my dreams, I think that is being shattered right in front of us. It's one of those things that people are seeing but don't know how to make sense of our process. The third factor is the mental health epidemic. We see more and more young people entering into depression, into suicide, into drugs, because of, a sense of loneliness, sense of inferiority, a sense of not being able to achieve what was, not being able to consume, have the money to consume. So all kinds of reasons for that. But this is creating a major epidemic in South Asia. And I think we need to look at all three of these things. So, and this sets the stage for us to really think differently about how we are making our life choices. I would like to say that the education system has a serious design problem to it. It's designed to make us into slaves, basically. And anyone who knows about the history of why the British brought the schooling system, factory schooling system to India will understand what I'm talking about. So we need to actually redesign and reimagine education as at the heart of what is needed. In terms of what does it mean for you as students? I think there's three things. I'd like to share some of the good news that in all of these crises, there's opportunities. There's opportunities for us to really rise up and not only face these challenges, but also to be able to create meaningful, what I call is livelihoods. Livelihoods are the kinds of careers that make my spirit come alive, my community come alive, and my ecosystems come alive again. So, and what I would say is that most of what we have been taught and prepared for are what I call deadlihoods. the destruction of the planet. If you see pretty much every career from engineering to law to finance to psychology to military, all of it is around violence and destruction, basically. The majority of the economy is based on that. And there's a real need that we need to shift it from deadlyhoods to livelihoods. And some of these are livelihoods. We have a whole list of livelihoods. And what I mean, one more thing, let me elaborate on it, that we cannot only think about profit at the center of every decision. We have to now bring in people, planet, and profit, the 3 Ps, into our careers, into our decision makings. And and start with this question of whatever I'm doing, is it good for the planet? Is it good for my children, my grandchildren? Is it good for is it making the world more beautiful? Is it spreading more happiness in the world or kindness? I think these are the kinds of questions I would offer you to think about as you think of, choose your careers. And I'd just like to share about a couple of friends who are working on our livelihoods. We have more than 52 what we call future careers or livelihoods, eco careers, which are really what the planet needs today. So 2 friends. One is a friend named Gaurav, who's in Jodhpur. So he was part of our Swaraj University, and he studied engineering, but he realized that engineering was not really his cup of tea. He didn't really see how it was going to benefit the planet. So he joined Swaraj University. He explored, what he was good at, what he loved doing, what skills he had, what the world needs, and what he could get paid for. There's a nice framework called the Ikigai, which if you don't know about it, I'd recommend you look it up. It's a Japanese term, Ikigai. And so Gaurav decided his real passion was in terms of forests. So he has created an amazing project where he's setting up tiny forests. He's reclaiming traditional seeds, native species, really trying to regenerate nature and ecosystem. And he is doing something really beautiful for the world, and also making his living from that. The other friend I want to share with you is the friends Sunny and Manoj. These guys actually failed class 10, and they actually, rather than getting depressed that I don't have any kind of future, I need a degree, they actually got involved and joined our university. And by the way, our university, we don't require any degree or diploma to join it. You just have to have a passion and something you're excited about. So these guys were excited about food and health. So they have set up their own restaurant. It's one of the top 10 restaurants in India, healthiest restaurants, called Millets of Mewar. And they are, serving healthy food, reclaiming traditional millets, traditional recipes, trying to make fusion recipes. So they make millet pizzas and millet tikkis and all kinds of amazing amazing food. And they're food that is good for your health. So rather than serving fast food, they talk about slow food. Slow food that is really beautiful and makes us healthy. So what I want to just say is that in terms of just closing remarks, I just want to say that all is not lost. You haven't wasted your whole career in studying, or your whole life has not been wasted. There's a lot of things. And first piece of advice I would give you is that you can spend as little time as possible in the class. Take your learning in your hands and start to find people who have real skills and real knowledge and working on real problems, and start working with them. This will set you apart from the rest who are just going after the paper. By the way, in our university, we hand out, in the graduation, I hand everyone a piece of toilet paper. I said, this paper is going to be more useful than the degree paper in your life. And so what is going to be more useful is that you go out and you do what's called, extracurriculars. Find things, find real projects, start up your own things while you're studying, start up your own entrepreneurship projects. I used to do that a lot when I was a student. I did many entrepreneurship projects. The second thing is think about possibly taking a gap year. take a year for yourself to really explore. If you don't know what you're good at, what your skills are, take a year and explore many different options. We help many, many students around the world to see how they can go do an apprenticeship with some master, go deep and really see, is this the field I want to do? Because, the tragedy is if you interview, there were several studies done which say that most people hate their jobs and careers. Like 75% of the people who have jobs hate them. They don't find any meaning, value, purpose in that, and they're just doing it because they need the money. But I think that we can actually have the best of both worlds. We can find meaningful work that makes us happy, gives us real meaning, helps the planet, and also we can take care of our financial needs through that. The last thing I would just say is there's a methodology that we use called prototyping. So, and iteration. So ideas that keep testing your ideas out. Whenever you get an idea, test it out, talk to friends about it, make a little prototype, run it. So like with Sunny and Manoj, when they were interested in food, they would test it. They would make a recipe, they would serve it to people, they'd do a pop-up stall, and they would start testing. Do people like my food? Are they willing to pay money for it? How can I get more ideas? When we start prototyping, we get a lot of feedback on our ideas. So I think prototyping and trying things over and over in different cycles, iterating, is very important. The last thing I just want to talk about is the Ecoversities Alliance. So we've set up a network of more than 300 alternative universities around the world. Even though I studied at Harvard, I felt that the Harvard education is pathetic. It doesn't help prepare you for the real world and the challenge that we're facing on the planet. So we have a whole network of ecoversities which are really committed to people, planet, and profit, and really trying to see how our learning can be more practical, more relevant to the times that we live in, and how that can help us to know this fundamental question: who am I? And how can I share my gifts and talents with the world? So I'll end it there, and I hope to hear from you. And thank you all very much for your time today.
Thank you so much, Mr. Manish. That was a really, really completely different dimension to what we are all used to, and I'm really happy to hear from you about this kind of perspective, because it was very, not traditional, I would say, non-stereotypical view of how the world should be and how the education system should be transformed. So with that, thank you so much once again. Thank you so much for taking your time off and giving everybody such valuable insights. And you've also shared the link for the Ecoversity, the network of universities Mr. Manish was talking about. It's in the chat for everyone. So thank you so much. And yes, so on to our next speaker, Mr. Atul Singh. He is the Vice President CSR for Emami Limited, and he is a very popular figure, especially with contributions to the society with this CSR and his initiative. So he's going to talk about the future of career, and over to you, Mr. Atul Singh. Yeah, I think you're on. Your audio is still, you're on mute. Yeah, perfect.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks so much for inviting me. Slightly different topic for me in terms of what I do. It was nice listening to Mr. Manish about the triple bottom line concept that he spoke about in terms of the planet, people, and the profit. And this is what I do. I try and integrate the CSR strategy of the organization, and I try and integrate from a business sustainability perspective. So anyway, so talking about the future of skills and talking about the future of jobs, if I may say so. Well, Mr. Manish, I once again take a few points from him. He was talking about the so-called VUCA world that we are living in right now, which is volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. And especially from a COVID context, These are very, very uncertain times that we are staying in. We don't know what the future will be. We don't know how jobs will be, how careers will be, how our health will be, how the economy will shape up, and how the future generations will actually live, because they might have to pay for this time period that we are living right now. So from that perspective, I think what is required is kind of a foresight or a vision in terms of how the future will look like, especially as far as jobs and careers are concerned. There was a time, and especially in the Indian subcontinent, when people were or are very fond of government jobs, because that brings stability, that brings safety, that brings a lot of mental security in terms of how I would like to live life. So there was a concept, and there is a concept of a job for life. That means once I get a government job, I'll have a lifelong job, and I don't have to worry about being laid off or being terminated or being fired, and I'll have a kind of a peaceful life. Unfortunately, because of the current COVID crisis and because of the nature of the economy, even before the COVID crisis, because of digitization, because of automation, a lot of changes are taking place in the world, which means that students of today will have to have a very holistic view of the world they will be living in the future, because they'll be working in a world which is 3 years, 5 years, 6 years from now, which is going to be very different. And already technology is changing the world. Already, digitization and automation has changed the world. The world is now talking about artificial intelligence and machine learning and robotics and drone technology and blockchain and all the new technologies. And how can we or the students have a window of the world which will be the future? There will be jobs that will be obsolete. There will be courses or there will be skills that they'll be learning today that will become obsolete. I remember when I was in my college, and then after college, I did my honors in systems management from NIT. And I thought of pursuing a career in information technology. And look where I've been working right now. I'm in corporate social responsibility. I thought of having a career in IT, and I did my so-called programming in COBOL, and I did BASIC, and I did Visual Basic, and I did Lotus 1, 2, 3. And none of those so-called programming skills are of use to me today, because yes, the logic still remains, the concept and the background still remains. The flowchart still is there in my mind. However, the COBOL programming language is obsolete. That means none of my IT skills that I learned in college or after college, I'm using this in my life anymore. I'm now working on a system which is very different from what I used to work in the past. So what I'm trying to say here is the whole world will be changing or is changing. And the pace of change because of COVID has been very, very fast, because we are right now inheriting and adopting technology that we would have maybe 5 years, 10 years from now. I see housewives using technology to order food. I see professionals working from home and having their video conferences and their meetings. I see even my sabjiwala and also my falwala and also my maid accepting their payments on the Paytm and other platforms. So what I'm saying is, because of a very fast changing world, the jobs are changing, and the requirement is changing. I won't talk about one career as such that, look, you can do finance or you can do graphic designing or you can do law, but I'll be talking in very generic terms, in terms of the importance of skilling yourself. And before I talk about skilling, let me, Mr. Manish spoke about education in higher education. The world is once again fast moving from education to skilling, where education is more about knowledge and theory, and skilling is more about hands-on job, which you can use to earn a living, earn a livelihood, have some earning, have some income opportunity. So from a skilling perspective, it's important to, for example, have something like a vocational skill or some kind of industry skill that you should be having to have a job or a career in the future. And that too is not good enough in today's world, because like I said, in a VUCA world, everything is uncertain, everything is volatile, complex, ambiguous. And this is where there's a lot of requirement for upskilling. People who are into IT, they have to regularly upskill on a daily basis. Such is the pace of technology. Doctors of today some of my family members are doctors. What they're saying is that we are treating people, as far as COVID is concerned, something they haven't studied in medical colleges. And this is where they are doing reading, they are doing research, they are going to seminars, and even they have a lot of these seminars, trying to know the industry best practices and trying to kind of learn in the whole process. And also, trying to learn from mistakes, trying to learn from each other, and kind of trying to treat patients accordingly. So once again, the requirement of skilling, upskilling, reskilling, people are kind of learning new skills. The tourism and the hospitality sector, for example, has been very badly hit. A lot of people are now, I know of, who are doing a new course or learning a new skill to be able to work in a different kind of a job. So multi-skilling, I mean, they are doing multiple jobs, and multi-skilling, cross-skilling, the requirement to, learn, unlearn, relearn, lifelong learning is what is required in terms of today's context. And this is how the economy is changing. There's a lot of gig workforce required. The whole economy is becoming a gig economy, where one single person, after having the so-called skill, upskill, reskill, multi-skill, or whatever, is now working for multiple employers, where he's just not looking at one kind of job or one kind of skill or one kind of place or one kind of time or one kind of employer. The whole world is changing. The gig workforce is now kicking in. The gig economy is now kicking in. Look at the example. The best way to understand gig economy was a Western concept. And I was in Australia for about 10 years in the past, and I saw the gig workforce being used in the call center industry, where we have people who came to work as per their choice in terms of their own flexible hours. So that is, what I saw, and I learned new in terms of how we can be flexible in terms of our own choice of work and our hours and everything else. And the best way of understanding a gig workforce is each one of us or some of us have maids coming home, and that maid actually goes to multiple homes. And so they are kind of a gig workforce. They know how to cook, they know how to clean, they know how to wash dishes, and they have a skill. And leveraging their skill, they are working in different locations or different places. The other way to understand is, now we have these examples of the Ola and the Uber drivers. We don't include them in the so-called job or the workforce or employed workforce, because they nowhere figure in any of the government data as far as employed or unemployed is concerned. But still, they are gainfully employed in terms of having some kind of a livelihood. They're having earning, they're having some kind of an income opportunity. Look at the requirement of the home delivery guys now, with the e-commerce kicking in, and with Swiggy and Zomato and the Amazons and the Myntra, and everyone is now requiring home delivery guys. And look at the number of jobs that has been created. So what I'm saying is, the economy, the whole world, the environment, the dynamics, the ecosystem has changed considerably and will keep on changing, dynamically in the future. So there'll be a lot of dignity of labor that will be required right now. In the Indian subcontinent, we are very fond of having, let's say, a father would like, his daughter to be married to a so-called, officer or a manager in a big corporate, and no one would like their daughter to get married to a gig worker or a gig workforce, which is not so respectable. And this is where there is a requirement of dignity of labor to come into the workforce. There is a requirement for more acceptability and the removal of some of the social stigmas and taboos that is associated with careers and jobs, because everyone wants their son or daughter to become a doctor, a chartered accountant, an MBA, engineer, so on and so forth. And this is where the world is changing, the world is becoming dynamic. And even in the new education policy, or the national education policy that was just released last year, which is yet to be deployed in India, there's a lot of focus on skill development and vocational education, where apart from the traditional education, vocational education has to be chosen from class 5 onwards. So this is a step in the right direction. In terms of trying to leverage the demographic dividend of the country, India has a huge population. And I'm here talking about India because here my experience as far as this sector is confined to India only, because out of 138 crore population, more than 50-60% of the population of India is in the working age. So to reap the benefits of demographic dividend, India has to leverage the workforce, skill the workforce, train the workforce, employ the workforce, and have the workforce contribute positively towards the growth of the country in terms of the GDP growth, which is really not so good as far as the country is concerned. So these are some of my thought process. The future for jobs, definitely, as far as IT is concerned, there's jobs taken away by IT, but there are jobs given by IT. Healthcare, because of the COVID crisis, and health professions will be here to stay. There'll be a lot of requirement of healthcare workforces, new kind of healthcare jobs, new kind of paramedics now required, new kind of training required. And of course, there's a lot of new kind of professionals required, especially in the warehousing segment, in the supply chains segment, as far as e-commerce is concerned, right from delivery to warehousing to ordering to storing to everything else. So, technology is taking some jobs, technology is giving some jobs. So I guess we have to take it in our stride. We just can't be, sitting and complaining about COVID, that look, what has COVID done to us? Yes, we don't know whether we are post-pandemic or in the middle of the pandemic, because we don't know what the future will be in terms of future waves coming up. We don't know whether the vaccination effect will be lifelong or for a fixed period of time. Like I said, it's a lot of uncertainty as far as the times are concerned. And the students of today will have to factor all these uncertainties in terms of their career planning. So these are some of my thoughts, and I hope I've been able to do justice to the time given to me. And I'm happy to answer questions if there is any. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Atul Singh. That was really insightful. And you really talked about the other aspects of the importance of skilling yourself, and how vocational education is in fact going to be really important in transforming and helping people acquire new jobs, as well as setting apart dignity of labor, and the NEP in fact taking the educational structure in India to good and better directions. So thank you so much, sir. Thank you for your session, and
thank you.
Really happy to have you here. So thanks again. So unless we have no other questions, we will move to our next speaker. Yes. So thank you, sir. So we'll move on to our next speaker. So of course, in this pandemic situation, the medical as well as the paramedical team, they've really come into prominence. Not that they were not, but people have really begun to recognize the kind of sacrifices, the kind of amazing work that they've put in to make sure that the people of our nation and across the world, that they are taken care of, especially in these troubling times. So so without further ado, to talk about medical and paramedical education opportunities, I want to invite Mr. Kasi Habib, who is the director of Checkmate, to deliver his session. So thank you so much for taking your time to come here, sir. Over to you.
Yes, thank you. Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Okay, thank you. Very good afternoon. Very good afternoon to the distinguished speakers, our eminent speakers, distinguished guests, and today's participant of this very important event. Hello. Hello.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay. Then I'm continuing. Okay, thank you. So today's important events. I'd like to thank Mr. Akram Haq and Mr. Salman of the Policy Times for giving me the opportunity to say something about the career opportunities in medical and paramedical in this pandemic situation. Actually, I did not to say more about the medical, about the career opportunities in medical, about the future of the medical study. We all know that medical study in India is very much cost effective in private medical colleges. But for this purpose, the students who can't afford medical study in India, they move to abroad. Abroad, like the countries in Bangladesh, Ukraine, China, Russia, Georgia, all other countries. And presently, nowadays, Bangladesh is the best destination for the medical study for the Indian students because their syllabus is almost like Indian syllabus. Even in medical sector, Bangladesh hasn't published any book. They mostly use the Indian books also. So their food habits also like India. So this is the part of basically medical sector. Now I want to go to paramedics. We all know that paramedics is the backbone of health sector, and a patient's total treatment depends upon the report of a paramedics. Like there are so many courses in paramedics: nursing, optometry, physiotherapy, lab technician, and OT assistants. Lots of courses there. The students are choosing as per their capability, and obviously all the courses have good future in India and abroad also. So one thing that a course, mostly the students are not aware about that course. That is also in paramedics. That is, I would like to suggest the students about the course. That is BASLP. Please remember the Indian students also. BASLP. That is Bachelor in Audiology and Speech Language Program. I think this course has a good future in coming next 4 or 5 years. Mostly, almost there are few colleges in India about over this program, and you all can understand that using gadgets in almost all houses, all homes, using gadgets, the kids and the children are being affected by gadgets, and they are actually being unable to hear sometimes, to say properly, even in their 3 or 4 years, even in the 3 or 4 years, as the kids cannot say properly the Baba or Ma cannot say properly. So within next 4 or 5 years, all families will have to be needed for the language therapy and audio therapy. So we checkmate today's event totally organized. The event totally organized by the Policy Times and World Education Council. And on behalf of World Education Council, I'd like to thank you all, because Checkmate is the founder member of this council. So Checkmate always care of the students, and obviously a lifelong relationship that builds on trust, transparency, and support. We all can understand nowadays innocent students are being misguided by the rampant mushrooming of admission agents. It is extremely difficult to understand, to determine who is genuine or who is fake, who is authentic. So Checkmate proudly can say from this place that we are always ready to cooperate with the students, and we already have earned the credibility of the sincere education planner in India. So we don't only enroll the students to the universities, we always guide the students, guide the candidates for planning their higher education as per their capability. So for this purpose, we have jointly formed this World Education Council to support the students in their academic sectors, students in India and abroad. I hope we'll always be with the students, and any students can feel ease to contact us regarding admission or regarding for their higher study. And for the betterment of education, we are always with the students. Thank you. Thanks to Policy Times. Thank Mr. Nihal. Thank you all for being with us. Wish you all good health and good time ahead. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Qazi Habib. That was really informative. And I hope you've all taken note of what he's mentioned. In fact, he is very open to being able to provide the kind of guidance and any necessary support for students who are looking for those career opportunities and breaking their career. So once again, thank you so much for taking your time off and giving this session to everyone who was present here. So up next, we move on to our next speaker, who's going to talk about career in content writing and creative thinking. In today's age, it is really, really important that you realize how much content is driving us. And in fact, it has really been very thought-provoking, the kind of messages that media puts in our head, the kind of messages that the marketing team puts in our head. It stays, because I remember the Havells ad where they were creating content where they showed a wire which was bent, and the child gives this wire to his mom and she uses it to cook chapati in the fire. And this won the best ads award that year. And all this amazing stuff, the marketing content and everything, is created by the content creation team. And there's a huge opportunity in that. So to speak about this, I invite Ms. Malini S., who is the chairman and managing director for Synergy Images, who has taken the time off to deliver a session for us. So on to you, ma'am. Are you able to unmute yourself?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nihal?
Yeah.
So we go to our next speaker?
Sure.
Yeah, we can invite Jairuddin sir has spoken, right?
No, it's we can invite him next.
Yeah, we can invite him. Ms. Malini is here. Ms. Malini, actually she was, no. So yeah, we can go to Jairuddin sir.
Sure. So I think it's unfortunate that I think she might be having some sort of a network connectivity issue, and I hope she's back, or she will be back with us soon. And so in the meantime, let us move on to our next speaker, Mr. M.D. Jairuddin. And I think this is very special for me personally, because I've always been an anime fan and a huge gamer all my life. Right. And I cannot stress enough the importance of animation and graphics, that how it would have been different for me without the animation and graphics, or how movies would have really been different. You wouldn't probably see the Avengers the same way. You wouldn't see Bahubali the same way. And I'm so happy to have Mr. M.D. Jairuddin sir, the chairman of Bangalore Animation College, and is going to speak about education opportunities in animation and graphics. And over to you, sir, and welcome. And thank you so much for being a part of the session. Over to you, sir. Yeah. Are you able to hear us, sir? Yeah.
Yeah. Hi. Yeah, I can hear you. Am I audible? Loud and clear?
Yeah, you're audible. Yes.
Okay, fine. So good evening, everybody. I just can tell that it's thanks to all of you. Thanks, Mr. Nihal. Thank you to Policy Times that they have given me an opportunity to talk in this frame where I can let you know something about animations. And as you have heard about the interest of animations and the back sides of screen, what is happening in animations, I will be telling something about the career. And obviously at the same time, I will try to tell something which is going to be a very much plus points for everybody, those who can make their study in this field. Correct. So before to start all these things, I will tell something about me and my organizations. See, myself, Mohammad Zahiruddin, I am from West Bengal. Now I'm running one college, and that is in Bangalore city. My college name is Bangalore Animation College. and we are providing a degree program. Mainly our focus is in degree program. So what's the degree program? It's an integrated degree program. The course name is Bachelor of Visual Art, Animations and Multimedia Design. It's a 4-year integrated degree program, and it's focused mainly on animations. Now, what is animations, and why this course and this studies is different than other studies? That I will explain to you, which can give some interest, more interest about on the particular topic. So first of all, what is animations? So to understand the animations, basically we have different people have different concepts and different ideas. When we have heard about that animations, we think somebody, it's animations means cartoon. Animations means it will be some photo manipulations like that. Or some video explainer video and all like that. But obviously these all are the part of animations. But animations means there are a huge backgrounds in that. Okay, so by the word itself only animations, there are a lot of other departments. So by the word animations means here it will be coming a different departments. So including all the departments. Together we can talk about animations. So what is all those departments? So those departments we will talking it like it's modeling, animations. Obviously it's a part modeling, animations, lighting, texturing, rendering, rigging, VFX, compositing, editing, games, and concept art. So these all many departments are all together making a complete animations workout. So why all these departments? Because when we see one cartoon short film or one animated movie, so there are a lot of things we can see very easily, and that is giving us a feel which is not possible in real life. That is the main challenge, and that is the main part why the animations is getting a different level, a different platform than live action. So what the difference? Difference is whenever you will see some animated movie, animated features, there are some things which is really not possible in the reality. That we can show in animations, in CG. How it is possible? Because what the things is coming in front of you in the screen, like a shape of movie or short film or any other patterns, everything has been made in virtually. Nothing is existing in this world. Each and everything A to Z had been created in CG, in computer, by like us kind of people, those who have created from basics to advanced everything. Now there you can see some big fire, some accidents and boom or blasting is happening. This is the part of VFX. So VFX is a part of animations where it will show you how the things is possible in a horrible condition creating, but it is nothing happening. So no pollution to create these things in outsides. There is no camera needs to make shoots and all these things in outsides. Even there is no any cost in the sense, if you are thinking about car accident or if you are thinking some fire or bombing is happening, so everything will be created in CG. So for that you should not spend any money to destroy all these things. Whereas in live action, if you go and to do all these things, you should be spending a lot of money to create and to destroy all these things to get a shot or to get a footage. But if you come here in animations, everything will be made in CG in computer. So this is the things where people can enjoy all these things what is coming in front of you in the screen, but those are not has been created by taking some shots. Everything has been created in the CG in computer. That is the things here. There is a different market in this industry where people are focusing more on animations. So nowadays in live action movies, like big budget or small budget movie, if you see, they are whatever the features you can see, which is like very much expensive, that can be done in animations, because the same feature can be created by us where you can get that feel, but it will not be expensive.
Yeah,
you can manage it.
Malini, yeah. So you can speak now.
Yeah, fine. Is it okay? Shall I continue?
Yeah. Please continue, sir.
Fine. So now this is the things where the magic of VFX will provide you a platform. Now, on the other hand, animations, obviously you can see a lot of animated feature films, lot of animation series where the kids and obviously the grown-up people also like to see the stories and all these things, where a lot of things has been created. Like when we see the movie of dinosaur, like a Jurassic Park, or you can see the Avengers and all these things. There you can see a lot of features which has been created by animators. There, those features are all in animation. So everything, whatever we are seeing into the screen, all these things has been made by animators and by the skill of animation. So this is a ground where our country is earning a huge money, foreign money, from these fields. Yearly, like more than 15,000 crore we are earning by this industry itself. So government has a different focus on it. So a lot of governments like Telangana government, Karnataka government, and Tamil Nadu government, they have very much focused on this industry. So for that, based on this, there has some plan for governments also, individually state governments has taken, so that these new generations can come into this subject where they can get to be ready and they can be trained on it, so that they also can make their position in this field. And this is totally a creative field. So in these creative sessions, we the Indian are very much creative minded, creative. We have thoughts. We like to think. We like to see the dream. So this is a subject where the Indians, means we, can be very much focused on it, and we can do these things. Mainly in the Asia, South Asia, or in Asia, we have very much focused onto the creative part, and that is the things where we can get we can do these things tremendously better than any other part of the world. That is the thing. The requirement from this part of the world, the artist or any other expert, is very much highly in demand. So nowadays you can see, like we are working in all over the world itself in this field of animations. If you see MPC, motion pictures, and if you see like DreamWorks or Disney, all these companies, a lot of our like these sites, Asia's people and India's people are working there, and they are making very much better positions on this stage itself. So that is the things which I will tell everybody, that the field animations, it's not like a field which we can treat like in a small, or it's in like it in surrounding space. It's very big platform it is actually, and here you can, any persons, any students, those who are coming to learn here in the beginning itself, or those who have ideas, or those who wants to learn, they can come, and this is a very much interesting platform, very much interesting subject, where the students can or the learners can get very much better skill of it, and obviously they can stand in a very better positions in their career itself if they are making this program itself. And now there will be some things which I will make you all to aware about that. There are a lot of companies, lot of organizations, those who are providing animations related courses and all. But the thing is that the students are getting some misguidance, because those places, those platforms, wherever the students are going to learn all these things, they need to provide proper educations, and the students need to get the proper educations from them. Now the gap is giving some laggings, because the students are trying to learn, but the providers, if they are not providing up to the mark the skill, then the students will suffer. And then sometimes it is happening, because in this industry, if I'm talking about the companies, those who are present in all over the India, I'm talking in terms of India only. If the main big gaming companies, if you are saying like Rockstar, Zynga, or Technicolor, or EA Games, or you can tell like Ubisoft, this all big gaming company, they are searching artists like hell, but they are not getting. And a lot of students are getting pass every year, but they are not getting job. What is the problem? The problem is the students, those who have made the course, they are not properly trained. And the companies, those who are searching their employee, they are not getting, because they are not getting proper trained artists. So there is the gap. So whenever the students will come ahead to achieve this subject for their career, to build their career for this subject, then they should be very much keen to understand where they can get the proper education, means proper study patterns, proper syllabus, proper degree, which is very important. So that degree also will be giving a value in their life, which will give them a valuable platform in future. At the same time, the educations, whatever they are getting, that should be skillful, so that they can apply those skills and they can get easily their positions, their job, or they can create their own platforms also by that knowledge, whatever they are going to get it. But make sure the knowledge, whatever they are getting, it should be genuine and it should be proper, so that they can utilize that and they can get a very better platform in future by this trend or this subject. This is the things we, the students, need to be a little careful to understand where they are going to learn, whether the place where from they are going to learn, they are properly skilled to give that trainings, how much faculties they have, what type of experience they are having, all these things they need to get to know, and then only after that they should go and join on these organizations. That is the things which I will be making all of you, all the students and all the interested people, those who are interested to come in this field to learn or to explore these subjects and all. Just this part they need to be a little bit careful before going to start their career in this subject. Apart from that, this is very interesting subject. It's very unique subject, and these subjects will be giving a huge knowledge and interest. So this is the things which I think I can share with all of you. As per my knowledge, what the things I have gathered in my last 20 years experience in this field, I have tried to give you a small experiences share with all of you. I hope you can understand these things, and based on that you can make more research on it, and obviously you can find a better career and better process and thoughts about this subject itself. Thank you very much once again to all who has given me the opportunity to talk in this big platform. I'm very happy to participate, to tell something what the things I have tried to explain my own views and my knowledge. Thank you very much. Thank you to all of you.
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, MD Jayarudhan sir. That was really insightful. You broke a lot of myths about what animation is about, and in fact, increased the scope in what people can expect and what it really is about, the entire horizon of what animation is really about. Personally, like I mentioned, I am a huge fan of animation. I've always wanted to learn and dive deep into what animation is. So sometime, hopefully, I can also delve into this domain. And once again, thanking you so much for taking your time off and delivering this session. So I think we will move on to our next speaker. So please do again, keep putting your questions in the chat. We will have a small Q&A session at the end after all the speakers have finished. So I encourage you to keep putting your questions in the chat box. We will curate them and in fact, posted them to the panel so that they can answer them for you. So this will be very insightful for all of you. So hoping you would do that. And of course, on to our next speaker. I think Ms. Malini is here right now. Are you able to unmute yourself, Ms. Malini? Once again, I will.
She's here.
Okay, that's great.
Ms. Malini, do you hear us? Okay. Yeah, I think she's there.
Yeah. Can you? I mean, I'm not able to get the camera
in the front. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Good evening, everybody, and many thanks, Akram, for this great opportunity. Sorry, I joined a little late. And today we would like to talk about the education scenario post the pandemic, and online is here to stay, though it is for now considered as something that is, because schools are not able to function and we are having to look at online education. But I think going forward, we should be able to keep this as a permanent thing. And schools are integrating technologies at all levels, and the need of people who will be able to assist in planning and implementation. So I would like to touch upon the topic which the students can, understand, and they could also be possible career opportunities for them. So they could consider being a computer, they would have been a computer instructor, they could be classroom teachers who can now all become digital classroom teachers. So that requires a little differentiation, because it's not like teaching children face to face, and it's a little different, and people can get trained to do that, because we need a lot of online teachers, and also we need to make sure that there are so many areas that need to be filled when you are in the online space, edutech, and those areas would be instructional designers, graphic designers, the integrators, the front facers, the LMS integrators, the people who work on the front end, back end, and everywhere. So there are a lot of opportunities per se for the students to take up courses which will enable them to become a big digital online performer. There are many companies who are looking for these kind of people, because forever we cannot be depending on the going to school from now on. I think there's some message keeps coming across. So people cannot depend on going to school all the time. Probably there will be a time when only 4 days in a week you will be going to school. The other 2 days children may be learning from home. So you can bring in so many extracurricular activities alongside your education, also teach them the fun way. And this would be another method of teaching, I think, going forward permanently. So I would, I would suggest that all the students who are interested in creativity, or if they are focused on technology, they should be able to take any one of these professions. There are plenty of professions available in this digital space. So if they do that, there will be a lot of takers for them, and that would be and you can also work with even military. Everywhere training is required. Training is not only for education, it is there for even corporate. So training is a big space, so you can be in the training space, and if you want to be in the training space, there are a lot of opportunities. There are even HR opportunities if you're interested, because there are many people who look for dual jobs, and it can be anything. So the opportunities are plenty, and companies like ours are perennially looking for good people who can join us, and people who have less experience also can be trained and made into big professionals. So I would say going forward, I see a big scope for online training, animation, because training online learning includes animation. So animation, 2D, 3D got immense scope. So I think going forward, we should look at online a little more seriously than what we did before the pandemic, because it is going to be it's really going to lead us in the right direction, and it's a need of the hour. Thank you so much. Hello?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Ms. Malini. Thank you so much for, I think despite you dropping off and coming back and resuming and giving this wonderful session. Thank you so much. It was very
Thank you. My pleasure.
Because I'm sure in this online space, like you mentioned, the hybrid learning is the way to go forward, where people are doing remote as well as on-site learning. And there is a huge potential for that, and a lot of vacant opportunities. So thank you so much, everyone. So and thank you so much, ma'am, for taking the time off. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. So before we move on to the next speaker, I would like to take a little bit about your time to talk about the sporting opportunities in India, right? And let me also share my screen so that you guys can. Are you able to see my screen?
Yeah, we can see it.
Yeah, great. So what I really want, so before I begin, I must say that, being able to do this today is a real privilege, because there are so many amazing industry leaders and people who have established themselves, and amidst such an amazing array of speakers, to be able to give this and to be able to tell you what sports can do for you is indeed a privilege. And I hope you guys have a really wonderful session. And I want to really make this an interactive session. So keep your fingers on the chat box, and I'm going to ask you some really nice questions. And I hope you can, share your thoughts and answers to them. So Akram, also, if you could read them out for me, since I'm sharing the screen, I'm not able to do them. That would be great. So we can make this interactive, right? So what I want to talk about is creating a winning mentality. So before that, I want to ask a quick question to all of you. When you were small, or right now, if you're still in school, what did you want to be? Or who did you want to be? What profession did you want to take? You can type that down in your chat box, and Akram, if you could read that out to me.
Right. So it may take a couple of minutes. We can move on to next or something.
Yeah. So what did you really want to be? Did you want to be a doctor? Did you want to be an engineer?
Recording stopped.
Did you want to be a scientist?
I always wanted to be myself, Ujjwal Thapa.
That was a really brilliant answer.
Dr. Santosh Kumar, good person.
So
Neeta Devi, a doctor, lol. She's already a doctor.
So she has in fact achieved what she wanted. So a lot of people, I mean, I've spoken to a lot of people, and they tell me all the common answers that I get are engineer, scientists. I want to be, and I want to be a civil engineer or a particular physician. So I get a lot of answers like this. But what I really wanted to be when I was small, I wanted to be Batman. Right? I wanted to save people because I was so amazed by what Batman could do. He had some amazing tech, fancy cars you could get on top of it, and then it was really amazing. So I wanted to be Batman, but this is when I was really small. And once I realized, I grew a little bigger. I wanted to be a sports superstar. I'm sure you know Mr. Cool here. MS Dhoni has been one of the faces of Indian cricket in recent years. MS Dhoni, of course, there's been Sachin Tendulkar, but MS Dhoni has been, when MS Dhoni was on the field batting, it was so reassuring that India believed we could win. So I wanted to be a superstar. I really wanted to be a superstar. And what I ended up being is I became both. So now I believe I am saving people. And I believe that I'm doing it in sports. And let me tell you why. I have to give you a small introduction about me and my company, Dartle. What we're trying to do is we are trying to create more sports opportunities. There are so many academies, scouts, or talents, or entities, sporting entities in India who are looking for talent. And we are trying to create that visibility by bringing a new model where every person, every student will be given the opportunity to take sports as a career. We have created a new assessment model for that. And I'm not going to go into too much detail because the session here today is not about Dartle, and I want to talk about sports opportunities in general. So what Dartle does is create participatory sporting opportunities, which means you can in fact be a sports player. You can be like Dhoni. You can be like Virat Kohli. You can be like Kobe Bryant. You can be like Cristiano Ronaldo or Lionel Messi. You can be like Tiger Woods. But that's just one part of sports. And a lot of people don't see that sports is a much bigger industry than just this. Because sports industry is about sponsorship. So sponsorship means a lot of brands, in fact, 37% of global sponsorship market is within sports. That means the media, the brands choose to advertise their content through sponsorships, and the people who work in converting these sponsorships and sponsorship managers, that is a huge career in itself. Branding and PR, again, is a huge sector in sports because there is a lot of merchandising involved, a lot of you create branding and PR content, and there is facility management, people who manage stadiums, and there are a whole lot of opportunities there where you have stadium managers, facility managers, event coordinators, vendor managers, ticketing managers, and even logistics, which also covers a little bit of this, where you take care of pre-event, post-event, and on-event logistics, where you are in charge of making sure that the event has what it needs to successfully conduct that event. And one of those industries in India, which is very nascent currently, is called sports agenting. But if you look at one of the most successful people, George Mendes, if you know him, he is the sports agent of Zlatan Ibrahimovic and Cristiano Ronaldo and Jose Mourinho. He is a huge name in the sporting industry. But in India, the sports agenting, where a person takes care of the legal and the contractual and the legislative responsibilities of a person, thereby making it a career choice for him. He will have an array of players clubs and making sure that the clubs provide what they have promised to these players. And that's what sports agenting is all about. And sports analysis is a fairly new field where we bring scientific information into sports. And for people who love tech and people who love deriving data, sports analytics is a huge field. Because right now, in the olden days, people used to look at a player and say, okay, this player is good. But now they are backed by data. Instead of looking at a player, they analyze his video and then come up with parameters. And you can say, yes, this person is batting correctly. He is kicking the ball at the right angle. He's stopping at the right angle and everything. And the sports marketing, which is pretty obvious in itself. And the sports merchandising, where